Hokage give me a face, Chapter 161-180. Chapter 161 Where is Tsunade? Anyway, as long as you're happy, you'll be happy even if you beat me up tilde. In Kushina's bedroom, Yizan blinked pitifully, because his foot was pressed by the door. He was beaten by Kushina with a cotton doll without any resistance. Humph, you big villain, even if you say more love words, I don't believe it. And it didn't hurt you at all. Kushina was tucked into her waist, holding a soft cotton doll in her hand. Seeing that most of Yizan's body was still stuck in the outer door, she took a step back, released the door, and let Yizan in. Hey, you love me so much, why are you willing to hurt me, right, my little pepper tilde? Yizan grinned and took the doll and put it on his head, exaggerated and made a few funny expressions, which made Kushina burst out laughing. She immediately suppressed her smile, and her face returned to a cold expression again. Stinky bastard, even if you make me laugh, I won't be happy. Really? Humph. Kushina still had a cold face, but a faint Yuhi dizziness appeared on her cheeks. Then, Yizan walked slowly in front of her, put his arms around her waist, and a wicked smile crossed the corner of his mouth. Stinky rascal, what do you want to do? Hee, I want to kiss you. No, Before Kushina could finish speaking, Yizan gave her a fierce kiss. She quickly pushed Yizan away, wiped the corner of her mouth in shame and anger, and pouted, very dissatisfied. You are bullying me again. They're all engaged, it's not bullying. I haven't agreed yet. Then do you agree? Kushina originally wanted to say, no, but for some reason, facing Yizan's sincere gaze, she couldn't say anything. She had a pretty face Yuhi, and took a step back in panic. Stinky rascal, you are so annoying. After she finished speaking, she knocked Yizan away, ran out of the bedroom, and left the house with a bang. Hey, the little girl now, don't make fun of it, like me teasing Tsunade. I'm often teased back, but speaking of it, what is this stinky woman doing recently? I haven't seen her for a few days. Thinking of Tsunade's disappearance for a few days, Yizan suddenly puffed up. He asked everyone that Konoha could ask, but no one knew Tsunade's whereabouts, and the intelligence from Anbu showed that Tsunade did not without leaving Konoha, that is, Tsunade disappeared directly from Konoha. Would you like to visit her house? The lost lover. He said it, but before leaving, Yizan wrote a note and posted it on Kushina's bedroom door. As long as Kushina went back to the bedroom, he could see the note. After having a full dinner, I took a leisurely walk. It got dark a little faster in October. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the whole sky was pitch black, as if it was going to rain heavily. Walking for 10 minutes, Yizan finally came to Tsunade's house. He got in directly from the windowsill, and the room was empty. The yogurt that I haven't finished drinking a few days ago is still on the table, the seats and other arrangements are normal, and there is no sign of fighting. Suck. Yizan took a breath and walked to the living room following a faint scent. Underwear, clothing, tisk. This woman's body is getting more and more fragrant. Yizan immediately picked it up and smelled it on his nose. As if thinking of something, he immediately threw it down. Oh, what am I doing? How can I do such a shameless thing? I'm a decent coon. I'm a simple boy, and I'm here to investigate the case of Tsunade's disappearance. Thinking of this, Yizan reluctantly glanced at the underwear, clothes on the sofa, turned his head and continued shopping. There is no blood on the kitchen knife, and there is no smell of blood on the kitchen knife. I have a very smart nose, so I shouldn't lie to me. Hey, since it's not a murder case, where did this woman go? And Yerms was unable to solve it. Then, he went to the refrigerator to get a bottle of yogurt, opened it, and sat down on the sofa. And then, boom! With a soft sound, a large amount of smoke drifted into the living room. Yizan froze for a moment, and with a flick of his hand, the yogurt poured directly onto his trousers. Fuck, Tsunade, FCK, my pants. Yizan shouted, and immediately stood up and patted the yogurt off his pants, but when he patted it, he forgot that he was still holding the yogurt bottle in his hand. Clap! The glass bottle fell to pieces on the ground, yogurt splashed all over the floor, and even a lot of yogurt was splashed on the corner of the sofa. It's over. Yizan's heart jumped and he raised his head. Sure enough, Tsunade was staring angrily with big eyes and clenching his fists tightly. Xiaozan, what are you doing? As soon as I come back, you make such a mess in my house. Hurry up. Give it to me. Clean it up. Good lady queen. Yizan was about to get a rag with a sad face, but the next second, he was stunned for a moment, and suddenly became angry. Well, you stinky woman, where have you been these past few days? Do you know that I've been looking for you for days? What's the matter with dirtying your floor and sofa? Come over to me now, sit down and be honest, tell the truth clearly. Otherwise, the family law will serve you. Family law, little pervert, you are getting more and more arrogant now, wash the floor for me. Don't wash it, right? Good. Seeing Yi Xuanming's stubborn appearance, Tsunade bit Kiba tightly and finally raised her beautiful hand. Bang bang ping ping pong. After half an hour. The floor is clean and translucent, and the corners of the sofa have been washed with detergent. Yizan and Tsunade sat on the sofa side by side, leaning against each other, looking very warm. So, you've been staying at the Slug Fairy these days? Yeah, or else, do you really think I'm doing something sneaky behind your back? Tsunade pinched Yizan angrily, then moved his body, fell down, and crouched on Yizan's lap. What a pity. What a pity. What a pity. Unfortunately I didn't learn Sage Mode. She slapped her mouth, with obvious disappointment in her tone. Yizan patted her back comfortably, as if remembering something. Yizan's movements suddenly stopped. Tsunade. Huh. I want to learn Sage Mode. Chapter 162 _ The True Nature of the Slug Fairy. The relationship between Yizan and Tsunade. He didn't even need the consent of the Slug Immortal to come to the Shigu Forest. What's the matter, hey? Tsunade glanced at the Slug Fairy shyly, and Yuhi's cheeks were flushed. Shimura-zan, hello, I think we have met. A mortal slug's voice sounded in the air 100 meters high. Yizan just stared stupidly, unable to speak. Xiaozan, the Slug Fairy is greeting you. Tsunade bumped Yizan lightly, and finally pulled Yizan back from his sluggishness. He swallowed and looked at the gigantic and invincible worm that was 100 meters high and 100 meters long, and was almost scared to pee. Slug Immortal, so this is your body. Yizan stepped forward boldly and inserted a slug with his fingers. It was soft and had water on it, exactly like a small slug. Xiaozan, what are you doing? Tsunade was startled, and immediately pulled Yizan back. The immortal was in front of him, and Yizan was too daring. It's okay, little Tsunade, you're just too pedantic and not funny at all, your boyfriend is good. 923 tentacles that were more than 10 meters long suddenly appeared, which were the eyes of the Slug Immortal. The slug is different from the other two psychic beasts. Toad Wentai has a toad fairy on it, and Wan Snake has a white snake fairy, but there is actually only one slug. The slug from Tsunade's psychic is just a clone of the Slug Fairy, or even the original. When Tsunade was the strongest, he couldn't channel the body of the slug. Indeed, because the Slug Fairy is so big. And judging from the breath emanating from her body, cage level is scum in front of her. Hello Slug Immortal, there's one thing that I've been unable to figure out, can you explain it? Perhaps thinking that Slug Immortal had a good personality, Yizan walked to her side again and pointedly pointed at the soft body with his finger. Xiaozan, I'll call you Xiaozan in the future. Is there anything you can't figure out? I remember that every time Tsunade channeled your avatar out, you always called her, Tsunade-sama. Why did you call her, little Tsunade, when you came here? This surprised me. Is there something wrong with you? Xiaozan. Tsunade almost went crazy. She kindly brought Yizan in, but Yizan actually said that there was something wrong with the slug fairy. You know, this is the slug fairy. However, for Yizan's question, Slug Immortal not only was not angry, but smiled kindly, and the two tentacles moved in the air, with a hint of joy in her tone that had never been seen before. She is too lonely. Since no one can channel her body out, she has stayed here for hundreds of thousands of years. There were also contractors in the past, but including Tsunade, they all respect her. Yizan is her. It was the first time she met someone who wasn't afraid of her own body. Her casual attitude, like a friend, made her feel happier than ever before. It's very simple, Xiaoshuan, because I want to give face to little Tsunade outside, so I call her Lord Tsunade. As long as Tsunade doesn't say it, the outside world will never know that slugs are slugs immortals. The slug that came out of the spirit is called Tsunade, Sama. Hee, I don't care at all. Playful. This is absolutely playful. Yizan got straight to the point. He felt that his thinking was not working well. This slug fairy was actually explaining the reason to himself very playfully. Not only Yizan, but even Tsunade was about to collapse. When did she ever think that this slug fairy, whom she had always admired, would actually say such a witty thing? Being shocked by the slug immortal for a full minute, Yizan and Tsunade only reacted. Yizan smiled and Tsunade had a sad face. She didn't know how to face the slug immortal's clone when she summoned slug again in the future. Okay, little slug, since we have such a strong relationship, let's not talk nonsense, teach me sage mode. Yizan patted slug immortal's body carelessly, as if he had been a friend for many years. Xiao slug shouted. Slug immortal was not angry, but shook his tentacles happily, and said softly, Xiaozan, I have sensed your power just now. Your mental power is very strong, and the entire ninja world does not have such a strong mental power as you. Sage mode and mental power are closely related to control. I believe you can definitely learn sage mode. As if Tsunade had become a passerby, the slug immortal directly began to teach Yizan to practice sage mode. And Tsunade was just opening her mouth at the moment. She felt that her worldview was completely turned upside down. Sage mode is a state produced by absorbing the surrounding natural forces. It requires 1/3 of body energy, 1/3 of mental energy, and 1/3 of natural energy. The proportions of the three must be exactly the same, otherwise there will be difficulties. The expected consequences. Also listened carefully. Although he knew about the sage mode in his previous life, it was still not as systematic as the real teaching. The deeper. Yizan was learning sage mode at the Slug Fairy, and in Konoha village, Kushina returned home slowly. I just took a walk outside and my mood calmed down. Just get married, it's just a name anyway, for the country of the vortex. She had a yuhi face, and she made up her mind that even if she was engaged, Yizan would not let Yizan bully her. I'm back. She opened the door and found that Yizan was not at home. She was a little puzzled. When she walked to the bedroom, she saw a note on the bedroom door. A note. What was written? Is it some comforting words? Thinking like this, she walked to the bedroom door step by step, then she stared wide, her body gradually trembling, pursing her lips, her eyes flashed with intense anger. Stinky bastard. You really are a bastard. I will never be engaged to you. She glanced at the note again, grunted angrily, and threw the note on the ground. On the paper, there were a few words and a happy expression. Kushina, remember to wash the dishes when you get home. _. Chapter 163 Sage Mode. Psychic beasts are all together. At the beginning of practicing Sage Mode, you must be slow, and slowly adjust the ratio of the three powers. Once the ratio is out of balance, stop immediately. The first minute that Yizan officially practiced Sage Mode after he knew how to absorb natural energy. He sat cross-legged on the ground with his hands on his knees, carefully adjusting the ratio of physical energy, mental energy and natural energy, but he found that it's really simple. I don't blame Yizan for pretending, because Yizan's mental strength is too strong. Others learn an S-rank ninjutsu in a few months and years, but Yizan can create an S-rank ninjutsu in a few hours, mainly because of his strong mental strength. Strong control. So, Yizan pretended to be forceful. Snapped. With a soft sound, Yizan slammed his hands together, and the next second, he suddenly opened his eyes, and an extremely powerful force bloomed from his body. Call out. A Yuhi bar extends from the bridge of his nose to the side of his face, both left and right, and then a big Yuhi-colored circle appears on his forehead, with a tilde Yuhi dot in the middle of the circle. Shaozan. Tsunade's mouth was wide open, and his face was full of disbelief. Not only Tsunade, but the slug fairy on the side also stared, and at the end of the tentacles, the small eyes suddenly stared like a lantern. It is completely unimaginable that Yizan learned Sage Mode in just 1 minute of practice. That's it, huh? Sound. Yizan has become an immortal state. It turns out that Sage Mode is so simple, the 3 proportions are balanced, it's too simple. Yizan stood up proudly and waved his fist. He felt that his whole body was full of strength and vitality. He understood that this was the feeling of being blessed by natural energy. Try the effect. Thinking of this, Yizan looked up at the slug immortal. He smiled and his tone was full of urgency. Little slug, can I use sage art with you? I want to try the power of sage art. Yizan's words brought back the deep thoughts of Slug Immortal and Tsunade. Tsunade was still in shock, while Slug Immortal sighed in admiration and nodded slightly. You use it in the direction outside. Yizan agreed, spread out his right hand, and an Attributellis Rasengan appeared in his hand. Then, with a light drink, he transformed Sage Art Chakra into Thunder Attribute Chakra. Ziz, rumble. The splendid lightning, the violent thunder, and the terrifying yet familiar atmosphere made Tsunade stunned, and his face changed drastically. Shaozan, stop. Using Raiden Thunder style Rasengan will make your hands crippled. Regarding Tsunade's words, Yizan just bent his eyes and giggled. He suddenly raised his arm, and the smooth thunder and lightning crystal ball in his hand kept bursting with thunderous sounds. Senpo, Sage Art. Raiden, Thunder Style. Rasengan Shuriken. The smooth lightning ball was thrown out by Yizan with all his strength, flew thousands of meters, and smashed into the distant land. 1 second, 2 seconds. Boom. The terrifying explosion set off a 200-meter-high thunderbolt, and the shock wave quickly rushed to Yizan Tsunade, which was 1,000 meters away, and lifted the corner of Tsunade's clothes flying high, revealing a little bit of fierceness. Die the little pervert. The murderous department was suddenly, sneak attacked, by a small claw. Tsunade immediately slapped Yizan away. She quickly pulled off her clothes, glared at Yizan, and seemed to remember something. She immediately took Yizan's hand and palmed Sage Art lights up. Tsunade was stunned, and was surprised to find that Yizan's hands were as white as jade, with no damage at all. Shaozan, you. This is Sage Mode, idiot. Yizan smiled and tapped Tsunade's head, knocking the woman into a daze, his eyes flashing with envy. If only I could learn. The Raiden Thunder style Rasengan blessed by Senpo, Sage Art has exploded with stronger power and can finally be thrown without causing damage to the body. Based on this, Yizan experimented again with the Raiden Thunder style mode and Futon Wind style. Spiral Thrust. The effect of Raiden Thunder style mode is very good. With the protection of Sage Art Chakra, the body cells are no longer damaged, and the speed, strength, and anti-fighting effects have been well improved. Let's try the spiral thrust again. Yizan raised his index finger proudly. Compared with the Raiden Thunder style Rasengan of the group attack, the effect of the spiral thrust created for the strong should be better. He ran Sage Art Chakra quickly, and a violent whirlwind gradually appeared on his index finger. Senpo, Sage Art. Futon Wind style. Spiral process. Boo. With a light sound, the whirlwind disappeared. Circle.operator_circle.operator. Yizan stared at his index finger stupidly, stunned for a while. Shaozan, what's wrong? The sudden disappearance of Sage Mode made Tsunade a little nervous. She quickly walked to Yizan's side with a very worried tone. No, nothing. It seems. Not enough chakra, Yizan said strangely. He just discovered that when Sage Art Chakra was used, Cubit Ninetales chakra recovery power did not have any effect until Sage Art Chakra ran out, and after 2 seconds, the chakra in the body was replenished completely. But also, Cubit Ninetales chakra recovery power only restores normal chakra, but once Yizan's chakra becomes Sage Art Chakra, the recovery power will not work due to incompatibility. That is to say, Yizan is full of calculations. Only use 1 Jonin's Sage Art Chakra volume. However, Sage Mode, on. Yizan clapped his hands violently, Yuhi-colored marks appeared on his face again, and a powerful momentum emerged. Tsunade didn't understand, but the slug fairy suddenly screamed. Shaozan, your chakra. Aha, my chakra, he he he, don't say it tilde. The empty body was instantly filled with chakra. This magical ability Slug Immortal had never seen before. Well, she never thought of the abilities of Yizan and Cubit Ninetales together. Chakra's rapid recovery is Cubit Ninetales' strongest ability. How could it be obtained by a human? Slug Fairy finally made a random excuse to deceive Tsunade and didn't tell Tsunade about it. In other words, Yizan can restore chakra infinitely, only he and Slug Immortal know. However, Yizan also paid a certain price for letting the Slug Fairy conceal this matter, and his price was. What? Are you going to be my psychic beast? Chapter 164 Tsunade Goes Bad. Little pervert, say it. What are you hiding? On the sofa in the living room, Tsunade held Yizan's face and kept rubbing. Yizan struggled pitifully, but he couldn't escape Tsunade's clutches. Ah, it's nothing really. It's just that my mental power is very strong, and the recovery speed of chakra is several times faster than that of ordinary people, which shocked the Slug Fairy tilde. Yizan lied and didn't write drafts, and with his big black eyes, he looked sincere. It's not that I can't say it, but it's just that many things are too troublesome to explain, and the full state can be restored in a few seconds. In the eyes of anyone, they will be shocked and think that Yizan is a monster. Yizan knew that Tsunade, Danzo and others would not harm him, but he couldn't think of how to explain it, and the more he explained, the more troublesome he became. Anyway, you have the strongest mental power in the world. You think it is exaggerated, just because you are all spicy chickens. Yizan's explanation made Tsunade suspicious. She didn't think Slug Immortal would be shocked by such a thing, but Yizan insisted on this explanation, and she could only reluctantly believe it. Humph, little pervert, just trust you once. If I find out that you lied in the future, I want you to look good. Tsunade shook his fist. The threat was obvious. Yizan just replied with a smile, cupped Tsunade's face and kissed fiercely. Disgusting. It's all drool. Hee hee. Saliva cures all diseases. The two flirted with each other for a while, and Tsunade's stomach suddenly groaned, and he remembered that he hadn't eaten for several days because he had stayed with the Slug Fairy for too long. Little pervert, accompany me to dinner. Dinner? What kind of dinner do you want? I'm your dinner. Yizan smiled and put it on, wrapping his hands around Tsunade's waist and burying his face in the huge murderer. I hate it. Don't touch it. I haven't asked you to settle the matter with Slug Immortal before. What she was talking about naturally meant that the shock wave provoked by Raiden, Thunder Style, Rasengan lifted the clothes up, and Yizan took the opportunity to sneak attack on half of the murderer. Tsunade's words of warning did not make Yizan give up. He still buried his face in Tsunade's fierceness. Seeing Yizan's deadpan attitude, Tsunade pouted and raised his fist sharply. Boom. Oops. Humph. It's not over yet. Bang bang bang. Ah. 20 minutes later, the bustling commercial street of Konoha, Tsunade kept scanning the surroundings. Every shop was full of strong fragrance. What should I eat? Xiaoshuan, what should I eat? She turned her head and glanced at Yizan. Yizan shrugged his head. his face full of resentment. Eat chicken. What kind of chicken? Spicy chicken, kung pao chicken, fried chicken. Or what? I don't mean chicken, I mean chicken. Boom. Yuhi bag appeared again on Yizan's forehead. He pouted aggrievedly and found Tsunade's vicious eyes. Little perverts are getting more and more lustful. Perverted. You actually understood. Incredible. Humph. Tsunade's face. Yuhi turned her head, as if thinking of something. She suddenly laughed, and the smile was full of evil. Little pervert. Suddenly, Tsunade came close to Yizan's ear. Her voice was evil and small, so small that only Yizan could hear. When you grow up, it's not that I can't eat it. Operator_. Yizan was stunned for a moment, and he was a fool. He stared at Tsunade dumbfounded, but he didn't expect that he would be molested. What, little pervert, you have the ability to grow up. Sister, I can wait for this day. She blinked her eyes deliberately. Her beautiful face had a hint of evil and Yuhi dizzy. She stretched out her jade finger, lightly hooked Yizan's chin. The strong contrast that Tsunade suddenly showed made Yizan's brain completely confused. He took a silly step forward and was about to kiss Tsunade. The next second, Tsunade suddenly stepped back, and the smothered smile finally couldn't be held back, and he burst into laughter. Come out. Ha ha ha, little bastard, you're so cute. You're so stupid. Ha 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 ha. She laughed regardless of the occasion, and immediately attracted the attention of the people around her. You must know that the two were in the bustling commercial street of Konoha. It happened to be after 7 o'clock in the evening. They were eating, walking, shopping, and people came and went. Go, and Tsunade smiled, immediately attracting the attention of more than 50 people around. Looking at the people pointing around, Yizan finally reacted. He puffed up his face angrily, pulled Tsunade and rushed outside. Damn stinky woman, you're fucked. I tell you, you're fucked today. Hee, are you finished? Grow up quickly if you have the skills. Whatever you want to do, my sister can do it. Humph. Yizan and Tsunade joked all day long, as if they had forgotten the war that was about to break out. Since Kushina had to go to school, Yizan would only bully her occasionally after school. Such days continued until a month later, Uzumaki Mawako returned from the Anbu base. 1 month, Uzumaki Mawako's strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. Well, for Yizan, she is still a scumbag, but compared to the rest of her friends, her strength is enough to crush a group of people. A month ago, Uzumaki Mawako was a second-year student at the ninja school. A month later, Mawako already had the aura of an elite genin, but 30% of this aura was destructive and tyrannical, obviously the power of Kyubi, 9 tails. As expected of the Patriarch 3.2 of the Uzumaki clan, he was able to modify the seal of the 4 elephants to such an extent. In Hokage's office, Sarutobi, Danzo, the 2 advisors, Huang Gamble, Hitaki Sakumo, Uzumaki Ryayama, Mawako, and Yizan are all present. Sarutobi was full of admiration after seeing the breath emanating from Mawako's body and the determination in his eyes. Hey, I'm just in charge of improving the seal, and the main thing is that the minister has taught me well. Uzumaki Ryushin looked at Hitaki Sakumo, who was on the side. He was right, although he improved the seal of the 4 elephants so that Mawako could use a small amount of the power of Kyubi, 9 tails. Mawako's current nature was completely taught by Hitaki Sakumo, the kind that seems to be killed at any time. Your education method forces you to explode your potential. Yizan has a deep understanding of this. Chapter-165_amuse Kyubi, 9 tails. My lord, it's the most disgusting and annoying guy in Konoha. Fortunately, it's only been taught for a month. If you teach for a long time, your daughter will definitely become an indifferent and ruthless lunatic. Yizan's wobbly complaints made Hitaki Sakumo a Byakugan, and he simply turned around and turned his back to Yizan. Look, our minister can't say anything to me. His behavior is an indirect admission of my words. With Uzumaki Ryushin as an outsider, Yizan naturally wouldn't say Hatake Sakumo's real name. During the month of teaching Mawako, Hatake Sakumo has been wearing a cat face mask. This is the custom of Konoha, especially Minister Anbu. If he is known by outsiders as the identity spreads, there must be a lot of people who want to deal with Hatake Sakumo and make Konoha suffer. Uzumaki Ryayama doesn't know Hatake Sakumo's real name, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know the power of Minister Anbu. Being able to hold the position of Minister Anbu can represent Konoha's fighting power, especially the faint cage-level coercion. Indifferent eyes and the short knife on the back of the rear 05 shows power and mystery all the time. Of course, in the eyes of Uzumaki Ryushin, Yizan is the stronger one. At least when he found out that both Sarutobi and Danzo treated Hatake Sakumo with courtesy, Yizan could mock him mercilessly, but the minister actually chose to turn his back and not confront Yizan head-on. God. Uzumaki Ryushin once again firmly believes that Yizan is the next generation leader of Konoha, which also makes him want to marry his daughter more and more seriously. Of course, when it comes to getting married, we can only decide on Kushina. Kushina is a little beauty, but Mawako is not good-looking. With Yizan's arrogance in Konoha, it is impossible for Kyubi, Nine Tails, to bind Mawako because of the strength of Jinchuriki column from Kyubi, Nine Tails. Live. Thinking of this, the smile on Uzumaki Ryushin's face became even more prosperous. Although Kushina was reluctant, as a past person, how could he not see the relationship between Yizan and Kushina? The two are together, sooner or later. But then again, Ryushin Patriarch, it's been a month, your clan has not come yet. Danzo said softly, his voice was very soft, different from the usual gloomy eyes. When he looked at Uzumaki Ryushin, he was more kind. Haha, Lord Danzo, don't worry, my clan will arrive in Konoha in the next few days. In this war, my clan will definitely do everything possible to help Konoha, you can rest assured. Uzumaki Ryushin laughed, and quickly enlivened the atmosphere in the office. Everyone in the office said a word to me, while Yizan pouted out of boredom, pulled MINZ, and motioned for the other party to follow him. With Yizan around, Mi Kazuko didn't worry about the adults' blame, and the two quickly left the Hokage building and walked towards the ninja school. Brother Zan, my sister. How are you doing recently? On the way, Mawako asked Kushina first. The two sisters were deeply in love and had not seen each other for a month. She missed this rebellious sister very much. Hey, she's not bad. She goes to school every day, but her strength has not improved much, but her temper has improved very quickly. Yizan chuckled. He has been bullying Kushina for a month. To beat Yizan flat. What about you? The power of Kyubi, Nine Tails, is hard to control. It seems to be able to observe the outside world through your eyes, right? Can it see me? Speaking of this, a wicked smile appeared on Yizan's face. He was suddenly greeting Mawako and Chow Mawako, raised his head, and said arrogantly, Kyubi, Nine Tails, hello. Can you see me? Can you hear my voice? Ha 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 ha, you're an idiot, I made you a piece of shit last time, why haven't you changed? At that moment, a destructive aura poured out from Mawako, but because of the seal of the 4 elephants, the aura was very weak. I feel it, it's angry. I know, there are 4 seals in it, don't worry. Yizan smiled proudly, and pointed his middle finger directly to Mihazi. Kyubi, Nine Tails, are you angry? You have the ability to hit me. Bite me. Here, do you see my neck? Bite my neck, silly fox. And twist his ass exaggeratedly. After playing for a while, Yizan finally stopped. At this moment, Mihazi was covered with Yuhi-colored chakra. Seeing that Yizan was no longer provocative, Mihazi shook her head helplessly, and when the chakra was taken away, she directly through Kyubi, Nine Tails, was withdrawn. Hiccup. She hiccuped lightly, and Yizan was surprised again by her satisfied expression. It's chakra, you can eat it directly. This is the improved seal of my father. The chakra it forcibly emits, as long as it is absorbed by me, it will be my own chakra. I don't know why, after absorbing the chakra, my belly is bulging and I feel like had a great meal. Quote. Well, Yizan obviously underestimated Uzumaki Liushin's ability. Although his strength is only quasi-cage level, his sealing skills are definitely a god. The two walked and chatted, and soon came to the ninja school. 760 at this moment, the second grade Class A was taking the monthly exam once a month. Yizan was surprised to find that Kushina, Shikaku, Choza, Inoichi, and Inuzuka claws were besieging together. Minato. During the siege, Minato seemed to be at ease, and his strength had surpassed many of his peers. As expected of Namikaze Minato, under my encouragement, does the strength grow faster than the original? Yizan nodded secretly, and the expectation in his heart became stronger and stronger. He coughed a few times, and immediately attracted the attention of the whole class. Big Brother Zan, Mawako. The first to find out was Namikaze Minato. He quickly retreated from the battle circle and was able to find Yizan the fastest. Obviously, his attention was not fully focused on the battle, that is to say, he did not use all his strength. Damn, Minato didn't use all his strength. Inuzuka's paw pouted in disgust, and Kuromaru on his head also let out a cooperative cry. Shikaku was still lazy and indifferent, but Kushina rushed over quickly and threw himself into Mawako's arms. Sister, I miss you so much. Sister, I miss you too. Chapter 166 Minato and Mawako. The two sisters grew up together, and they even came to Konoha together, and they never saw each other for a month. The two hugged each other and whispered, while Yizan, holding his chin at the moment, looked at Namikaze Minato thoughtfully. Minato. Big Brother Zan. Hearing Yizan's call, Namikaze Minato immediately stood up straight, as if being paraded by the chief, with a serious face. Minato, you didn't concentrate on the battle just now, do you think they can't beat you together, and are invincible among your peers, so arrogant? Ah, not Big Brother Zan, listen to my explanation. Yizan's words made Namikaze Minato instantly dumbfounded. In his heart, Yizan was very important. Hearing Yizan's question, he immediately shook his head, trying to explain clearly. No need to explain. Yizan raised his hand to stop him. He glanced at Mawako, and a smile flickered across his mouth. Whether you are arrogant or not, keeping your hand to fight is a kind of disdain and insult. Now, you must be punished. Hearing Yizan's words, Namikaze Minato nodded obediently. He felt that he had indeed insulted a few friends by keeping his hand, and he should have been taught a lesson by Brother Zan. Namikaze Minato obeyed, but the other friends couldn't bear it. Although Minato kept his hand, he shouldn't have been beaten by Yizan. Everyone knows Yizan's strength. Once beaten, Minato can't even fight back. No, he was beaten and his nose was blue and his face was swollen. Brother Zan, it's because of our own lack of strength that we let Minato stay and teach Minato a lesson, let's forget it. Shikaku persuaded first, and then Choza, Inoichi, Inuzuka Claw, and Makoto, who had been silent, also persuaded. That's right, Minato is also kind and doesn't want to hurt a few of us. Seriously, Minato is feeding us tricks and helping us improve our strength. Brother Zan, don't teach Minato a lesson. Brother Zan, it's all Makoto's problem. If Makoto can be stronger, he will definitely make Minato do his best. It's all my fault. Kushina and Mawako, who were hugging together, were startled. At this time, Yizan just shook his head amusingly. He held Makoto with one hand and put Kushina in his arms with the other. Kushina struggled violently. He said something that shocked everyone. You are all my good friends, how can I teach Minato a lesson because of this? I just want Minato to know that there are people outside the world, and there are people outside the world. Although his strength is good, he is not invincible. Mawako, you come let's learn from Minato and let Minato know that you are the strongest in your class. On the training ground, the entire class stopped fighting. After Yizan arrived, teacher Duanmu automatically stepped aside. In the past few months, Yizan's reputation on the battlefield finally spread throughout the whole ninja world. The outside world is saying that Shimura Danzo's nearly 9-year-old son has the strength of Jonin, and even dragged Kazekage on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Wind, creating an opportunity to defeat the army of the Kingdom of the Wind. Outside world knows, of course Konoha knows it. Under Yizan's deliberate low-key, the students of the ninja school don't know, but the teachers themselves are Chunin of Konoha. After spreading the information in the Chunin circle, they quickly learned this information. Yizan is naughty and mischievous, and with this strength, how could teacher Duanmu provoke him? He stood silently under the big tree in the distance. Before Yizan left, the class was no longer under his control. Because of this year and a half of frantic efforts, Namikaze Minato's strength has improved very quickly, and he is very famous in the whole school. After discovering the situation of Class A in the second grade, students from other classes in the training ground gradually gathered around him. Isn't he that Namikaze Minato? They are dueling. Who is the other one? Yuhi-haired. Strange, the first time I've ever seen a Yuhi-haired man. It should be someone from outside, but I don't know which country it is from, but it's actually Yuhi's hair. But she can attract so many people to watch. Is this girl very powerful? As powerful as Namikaze Minato? Impossible. Namikaze Minato is already the strongest person in our school. Did you forget, last time he had a conflict with Uchiha from 6th grade Class A, and as a result, the top student was injured. Namikaze Minato was not injured at all. Not only that, provoked the Uchiha clan. Namikaze Minato was not involved. His background is not simple. The students were discussing quietly, but they didn't notice that Namikaze Minato's group of people kept looking at Yizan. Since Yizan only attended the ninja school for half a year, no one knew him except his classmates. Let's get started. Yizan opened his mouth, took a few steps back and left the battle circle. After that, Minato looked at Mawako hesitantly. He was very tangled. If he hurt Mawako, he would feel bad in his heart. If he released water, he would definitely be seen by Brother Zan. Namikaze Minato hesitated, but Mawako didn't hesitate. Although she likes Minato, after a month of cruel teaching by Hatake Sakumo, her heart has become countless times stronger than before. Namikaze Minato's hesitation is a good flaw in her opinion. Caught the flaw. Mawako's eyes narrowed, she slammed on the ground, and instantly rushed to Minato's side. Her fist was wrapped in a bluish chakra, and in the blue, there was a bit of Yuhi. Boom. Sound, Namikaze Minato flew out backwards, and fell to the ground with a pop. He clutched his stomach tightly, his eyes full of shock. Not only him, but even Kushina, who was most familiar with her sister, and a group of friends were stunned. They only saw a dark shadow after Mawako's attack just now, and then Minato flew out. Silent, silent. All the onlookers widened their eyes and were completely speechless. Some 6th grade students present could see a little bit of an attack track, while the others only saw a shadow. At this moment, Namikaze Minato's eyes changed, not shock, but fighting intent. Yizan was not wrong at all. In Minato's heart, except for Yizan's ability to overpower him, the rest are not as good as him. The 2nd grade easily defeated the 6th grade Uchiha. Namikaze Minato did have arrogance in his heart. But now, his arrogance and confidence were not shattered. Instead he stood up with a face full of fighting intent, moved his neck, and his face showed a touch of excitement. Come again. Chapter 167_gift for 2 girls. The final outcome is already doomed. Although Minato is a genius, his strength is stronger than that of a 6th grade graduate, and he belongs to the genin level. And Mawako has experienced a month of cruel teaching from Hatake Sakumo. Her fighting skills and tenacity have already surpassed ordinary genins. In addition, the Uzumaki clan naturally surpasses the amount of chakra dozens of times of the same level. Her comprehensive strength is even among elite genins. Awesome. Due to Hatake Sakumo's teaching, Mawako didn't let water at all in the battle, and beat Minato into a pig's head in one breath, shattering Minato's arrogance. However, Minato was not discouraged. but smiled confidently and vowed to practice harder and defeat Mawako one day in the future. Blonde hair, sun-like smile, seeing Minato's bright smile, Mawako's face was already ashamed of Yuhi. Because of this battle, the relationship between the two was better. The gurgling river flows happily, and the grill on the bank is flaming with flames. Oil Zizi's fish has been roasted to a golden color and exudes a rich aroma. Where did Brother Zan go? On the shore, everyone chatted while eating skewers. Akamichi Choza and Kuromaru kept grabbing food, and Shikaku lay on the lawn and yawned lazily. Half an hour ago, when everyone lined up the vegetarian dishes on the grill, Yi-zan said that he had left 443 for something, and he hasn't come back until now. When will Brother Zan come back? Makoto sat on a small rock, stretched her neck and looked into the distance. In her hand, she was holding a few strings of grilled vegetables, which she cooked by herself, and served Yi-zan to eat when he came back. Humph, I must have gone to other girls to play with. This stinky bastard. Kushina snorted, looking at the fish baked for Yi-zan in her hand, pouted, opened her mouth and ate. If you don't come back, you won't give it to you. You stay. Humph. Kushina gorged on the grilled fish and ate half of it in a short while, and at this moment, a figure appeared in the distance. Makoto, who had been watching the distance, let out a soft cry, and a Yuhi dizzy appeared on his face. Big Brother Zan is back. Makoto's words made everyone look up, but Kushina was caught by the fishbone. She coughed a few times, and then raised her head until the fishbone spit out. Idiot, you'll get stuck if you eat fish. Was lightly tapped on the head, and Yuhi was so angry that Kushina's face was full of anger. She raised her head and stared like a little tigress. Stuck, just get stuck. It's better than some people, missing for half an hour, making everyone wait so long. Before she could finish her words, a small box with exquisite workmanship appeared in front of her eyes. The box was of excellent quality and was tied with ribbons. It looked carefully designed. What is this? For you, happy holidays Tilda. Yi-zan smiled and put the small box in Kushina's hand, then turned to Makoto, and took out a small box of another color from his arms, which was equally exquisite. Makoto, this is for you, take it. Thank you Brother Zan. Makoto took the gift shyly, but her eyes were a little puzzled. She didn't understand why Yi-zan suddenly gave her the gift, but looking at the packaging of the box, it must have been carefully designed by Yi-zan. Makoto was shy, but Kushina was not. She opened the box carelessly and found a very fine piece of chocolate inside. This is. Her pupils shrank, her cheeks were covered with Yuhi halo, and in the middle of the chocolate, a few neat words were written. Dear Kushina, Happy Valentine's Day. Love you Xiaoshuan Tilda. That moment, Kushina was dumbfounded. She lowered her head with a Yuhi face, holding the box motionless. Kushina's strange behavior made everyone puzzled, and at this moment, Makoto also gently opened the box. Dear Makoto, Happy Valentine's Day. Love you Xiaoshuan Tilda. Ah! Makoto exclaimed that the box in her hand was almost unsteady, and she slammed the box to cover it. After realizing that she was being watched by everyone, she quickly lowered her head and kept shaking with shyness. The strange appearance of the two women at the same time made everyone even more strange. They were too embarrassed to lean over to look at the box. At this moment, Yi-zan didn't keep everyone curious for too long. He sincerely held Kushina's hand and Makoto's hand again, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and the gentleness of ultimate in his voice. Kushina, Makoto, Happy Valentine's Day. It turns out that today is Valentine's Day. Yeah, so today is Valentine's Day. Mawako quietly glanced at Minato, who happened to be seen by Minato. Both of them turned their heads shyly at Yuhi at the same time. Valentine's Day. This skewer of grilled fish is ready. If you don't eat it, I'll eat it. Choza stared at the grilled fish with excitement, and after he finished speaking, he took a bite without waiting for everyone to respond. Ah, it's so hot. The freshly grilled fish was so hot that Choza kept screaming, but he insisted not to spit out the meat. Shikaku was moved by his full of foodie spirit. Choza, don't worry, no one is robbing you, so don't worry. He lay on the lawn and yawned lazily, then shook his head helplessly. Hey, woman, I'm so troublesome. At this moment, Yizan took Kushina and Makoto to sit by the far river and whispered. Mawako glanced at Minato from time to time. Minato also responded from time to time, and the two of them shook their heads shyly from time to time. Inuzuka's claw was patiently picking the fishbone. He forgot to pick it last time. Haiwan was caught by the fishbone and screamed, and finally it took a lot of effort to get it out. As for Yamanaka Inoichi, he threw away a bunch of roasted potatoes with no expression. He put his hand in his arms, and with a crashing sound, he took out a bag of dog food from his arms. The dog food was placed on the grill, brushed with a layer of oil, and some cumin with black pepper was ordered, which immediately gave off a faint aroma. Heiwan sniffed, and immediately jumped off the head of Inuzuka's claws. Puff puff, jumped onto Inoichi's head. Wong wong wong. It screamed excitedly, its claws gripping Inoichi's hair tightly, and then Inoichi just lightly grabbed Kuromaru and threw it into Inuzuka's claw arms. Haimaru, I'm in a bad mood today, so I won't give you the dog food. Wong woo. Don't be cute, since you're also a single dog, let's share with you. Chapter 168-Happy Holiday. At the end of the riverside barbecue, Yizan sent Makoto home, and Kushina and Mawako went home together. Kushina was both curious and envious of her sister's sudden strength. Sending Makoto home, Yizan did not go home directly, but was about to go to Tsunade to have a look. When he walked to the path not far from Tsunade's house, he found a little boy about 5 years old waving at Tsunade with a smile on his face. With a bright smile. Tsunade. Hey, Xiaozan, what's wrong? Seeing Yizan walking over with a puffed face and angrily, Tsunade blinked his eyes suspiciously, and subconsciously took Yizan's hand. Little pervert, who made you angry? Huh. Humph. It's you who made me angry. Who was that person just now? Yizan still puffed out his face with dissatisfaction. It was only then that Tsunade understood why Yizan was angry. She shook her head helplessly, kissed Yizan's face, and said amusingly, the man just now was my distant nephew. His name is Senju Nawaki, and, you eat what kind of jealousy? Are you so afraid of me running away with someone else? Tsunade teased, but Yizan was slightly stunned. He looked at Tsunade and said his doubts. Senju Nawaki. A distant nephew. Not your brother. My brother. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, as if he understood something, then raised his green finger and pointed at Yizan. Idiot, how could I have a younger brother? But you guessed one thing right, that family. Want Nawaki to recognize him. I'm doing my sister, but I didn't promise. Why didn't you agree? Why did you say it? She gave Yizan a stern look, and a smile flashed across her mouth. If I promise to recognize Senju Nawaki as my godfather, why don't you turn Konoha upside down? You little pervert. Tsunade's words moved Yizan very much. He quickly took out the box in his arms, a golden gift box. Hey, for you. What is this? Tsunade took the gift box suspiciously, opened it, and a delicate chocolate appeared in front of her. Dear Tsunade, Happy Valentine's Day. Love you Xiaozan Tilda. The words on the chocolate made her cheeks slightly yuhi, glanced at Yizan, and found that the other party was smiling. Humph. What are you proud of? Who cares about your chocolate? She pouted slightly, with joy in her eyes, and closed the box with great care. Later, she unexpectedly found the words, 3. Gold. Purple ribbon, on the corner of the box. Hey, Xiaoshuan, what does this mean? What? Yizan jumped in his heart, only to realize that there were these words on the corner of the box. He immediately hated the owner of the gift shop. Although he designed the appearance of the box, the handmade is still done by the owner of the gift shop. The owner was obviously afraid of forgetting the color, so he wrote these words on the box. 3. Humph, little pervert, where are 2 and 1? Oh, Kushina and Makoto right. Humph, I knew it. You little pervert, you've done a good job of killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Tsunade Tsunere glared at Yizan, turned around and walked towards the house. Yizan reluctantly coaxed his shoulders and followed Tsunade into the room. On the sofa in the living room, Tsunade shrank his legs lazily and ate biscuits and snacks in small bites. The feet painted with Yuhi-colored nail polish were placed on Yizan's knees and rolled up from time to time, looking extremely cute. Hey, baby, don't be angry Tilda. Humph. Tsunade didn't even look at Yizan, and continued to pick up a biscuit and ate it. Maybe she was a little thirsty. She glanced at the refrigerator, and Yizan rushed over to open the refrigerator and grabbed a can of beer before rushing back. It took less than a second before and after. Time. PFFT. Tsunade slowly, leaning his head over. Lips meeting, Tsunade made a gurgling sound from time to time, and after a while, Tsunade drank the wine in Yizan's mouth. Wife, today's Valentine's Day, let's eat chocolate Tilda. Yizan opened the gift box with a smile and took out the chocolate. He put half of the chocolate in his mouth, raised his chin, and motioned Tsunade to eat the other half. Little pervert, you are the only one. Tsunade glared at Yizan, but did not refuse. She got up and hugged Yizan. Her head was close, and she grabbed the other half of the chocolate. Tsunade was willing to eat chocolate, so naturally he was not so angry. The two were entangled together, which made Yizan smile even more, and his hands began to be dishonest. Disgusting. Don't touch it. After the happy Valentine's Day, the ninja school had an 18-day winter vacation. Seeing that the little friends were about to enter the 3rd grade, Yizan felt relieved. Glad your sister. Coming soon. In Hokage's office, Yizan went to Sarutobi to get the Book of Seals. He seriously copied the technique of Hiraishin, and put the copybook into his arms openly. Xiaozan. Don't worry, I'm going to use the Hiraishin technique for my little brother. That's why I'm worried. Sarutobi took a cigarette unhappy, but couldn't hold back Yizan. Seeing Yizan swaggeringly left the office, he sighed helplessly, waved, and an Anbu appeared in front of him. Follow Xiaoshuan to see who he gave Hiraishin to, investigate the background of this person, and don't be discovered by Xiaoshuan. Although Sarutobi indulged Yizan, he was not at ease when Yizan gave Hiraishin's technique to others. At the very least, you have to investigate it. In his heart, if the other party was an enemy spy and deceived Yizan, he would be able to remedy it. Because of this investigation, Sarutobi finally discovered the good seedling of Namikaze Minato. While admiring Yizan's ability to see people, he also began to invest in Namikaze Minato. At this moment, Yizan had pulled Minato to a place where no one was alone, surrounded by green trees, and the quiet environment was very suitable for dating. He was leaning against the wall with one hand and crooked his legs, like a hooligan, which made Minato nervous and a little shy at the same time. Zan. Big brother Zan. I don't like boys. PFFT. Chapter 169_set off. Say, I was wrong. I'm sorry brother Zan, I was wrong. Hold your head in your hands and sing Conquest Subjugation. I was recruited by you like this. Stop, what's the sing? Don't you wiggle, Kushina is right, you're a sissy. Yizan kept reprimanding, making Namikaze Minato bow his head in shame. He scratched his head pitifully, like a mistaken elementary school student. Hey, forget it, I really can't stand you, why don't you like boys? I don't want to be a geek. Yizan took out a small book from his arms and threw it to Minato. The book was the Hiraishin technique copied by Yizan. What is this? Hiraishin's technique, the S-level forbidden technique, you can learn it. You are not allowed to pass it on to anyone, and you are not allowed to tell anyone. I got this from Lord Hokage. Yizan's words moved Namikaze Minato very much. Because he usually mixes with Shikaku and others, he gradually learned some secrets of Konoha, and he also knew that the technique of Hiraishin is the unique skill of the 2nd generation Hokage. Brother Zan, you are so kind to me. But I still want to say that I really don't like boys. Bang bang ping pong pong. After beating Minato violently, Yuzan left the ninja school in relief. He has been very busy recently. The spies in the Land of Thunder have sent back news that Kumogakure village has found a new transit station, and the defense is stronger than the previous one. 10 times, it is impossible to destroy it all. The Land of Earth has already dispatched the army ahead of schedule. Due to the collapse of Kikyo Castle, the Land of Earth wants to attack Konoha and will have to go around a large circle of mountains, which makes supplies a little fragile. Needless to say, on the Wind Kingdom side, although the number of people is inferior, but with Hatake Sakumo and Tsunade there, it is only a matter of time before we defeat the Wind Kingdom. Tsunade went to the front of the Kingdom of Wind, Orochimaru followed Sarutobi to the front of the Land, and finally Jiraiya was divided into the front of the Kingdom of Thunder. Now, Jiraiya was not happy. He stared at Yuzan fiercely. A pair of enemies met with special eyes. Yuhi's posture. Why do you want me to be with this kid? I'm not convinced. If you don't want to accept it, you have to accept it. Who told you to be the ugliest? In Hokage's office, Yuzan twisted his ass proudly. He likes to beat Jiraiya in front of everyone the most, especially when he sees Jiraiya getting angry and arguing that he can't win. He feels sour. Why do you two fight every time you meet? If you want to blame it, blame Jiraiya. He just envy me for being handsome and my relationship with my Tsunade. Yuzan took Tsunade and kissed her on the hand, then looked at Jiraiya and raised his eyebrows provocatively. I can kiss Tsunade, can you? Little devil, you underestimate this uncle. By Yuzan, Jiraiya walked directly to Tsunade's side, and was about to squeeze Tsunade's slender and white hand. The next moment. Boom. A loud bang, Jiraiya screamed and flew out of Hokage's office and disappeared into the vast sky. Jiraiya, out! Jiraiya, out! There seemed to be an illusory electronic sound in the sky, which made Yuzan proudly raise his head. He kissed Tsunade again, like a majestic and victorious general, causing Tsunade to turn over Byakugan. Little pervert. Tsunade spat lightly and grabbed Yuzan, ignoring Yuzan's struggles, rubbing his hands on Yuzan's face randomly, rubbing Yuzan's face into a strange shape. The two showed their love to everyone in the office. They stared at Yuzan and Tsunade with resentment. Even Danzo was no exception. Okay, Xiaoshuan, don't be fooling around anymore. You will be on the battlefield tomorrow. Take advantage of today's time. Everyone is discussing and discussing. Is there anything that is missing or needs to be improved? Sarutobi is right. He's going to battle tomorrow. Unlike the previous Vanguard army, this war would be difficult to finish in a year or two. After seeing Yuhian for a long time, Yuzan was reluctant to spend this last night alone. One night, he visited Makoto, Kushina and Tsunade. Not only did he kiss, but he also touched his feet. However, Makoto and Kushina had not grown up yet, so they had nothing to touch. Yuzan devoted most of his energy to Tsunade. On the body, except for the most important place, there are traces of Yuzan left in other places. On the second day, 9,000 Konoha ninjas were divided into 3 corps and assembled. All the clans have participated in the battle. This time it is Konoha's life and death battle, and no clan will be allowed to back down. 2 major advisors are stationed in Konoha, and there are less than 1,000 ninjas left in Konoha. These people are to prevent accidents. At least when everyone is fighting outside, they can rest assured that their homes will not be destroyed by surprise attacks. Old friend, the 3rd generation of Reikage is up to you to persevere. Sarutobi, who was wearing a battle armor, had a solemn expression on his face. In fact, the most important thing in this war was the front of the Kingdom of Thunder. If Danzo can support one more day, the other 2 battlefields' advantage is even greater. I will try my best. I hope you can win a big victory before the Thunder Kingdom's front collapses. Come back alive. Definitely. The 2 patted each other on the shoulders, and then Sarutobi turned around and walked to the front of the Legion, cage level becoming more and more imposing. Let the whole army go. Sarutobi yelled, and quickly left the Konoha gate with 3,000 ninjas. Let's go, Hatake Sakuma ordered in a low voice, his silver-white hair dazzling. Let the whole army go. In the legion on the front line of the Kingdom of Thunder, Yizan jumped up and down with his butt twisted, like a flea. Xiaozan. Danzo's face was helpless, as if he was 10 years older in an instant. He sighed heavily, and waved his hand weakly. Let the whole army go. I am sick, seriously ill. At present, he has lost the basic ability to live and needs the support of his family to walk. 40 hours due to the pain. Because the drug is too toxic, I could only take 1 pill a day. I took 3 pills in a row from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. But, the pain still hasn't gotten better. I even thought last night, let's just eat it like this, even if it's poison to death, at least it won't hurt so much. Since last night, the pain has reached its peak. Today, I did my best in these 2 chapters. Give me 2 days to recuperate with my heart and soul. In these 2 days, I will update about 2 chapters every day. When the condition is relieved, I will continue to Chapter 5. Chapter 170 Might Die. On the afternoon of Konoha's 3rd day in the army, the weather was cold but the sun was shining brightly. In the forest that covered the sky, more than 3,000 ninjas were advancing in the forest. The ninjas are not walking, but stepping on the branches. In the eyes of those forest animals, they can see the black shadows of shoo shoo shoo, flying by, like a black meteor shower, emerging one after another. In order to improve the growth of Konoha ninjas, 1/3 of the genin in Konoha participated in this war, and 1/3 of the genin was divided into 3 parts to join the 3 legions. That is to say, the legion on Yizan's side owns 1/9 of the genin of Konoha. Hey, I said you were so interesting, are you really not tired? Yizan fell behind the entire army, next to a green-skinned guy standing upside down. Tired, but this is youth. Might Die's body landed, holding the tree trunk with both hands, pushing hard, and his body took off again. Among the more than 3,000 people, the only ninja marching backwards, plus the green tights, are too conspicuous. Yizan, who has dominated several battles, has a high reputation in the ninja world and the Konoha Jonin Chunin circle, but because of the nature of Genin's mission, few people know about Yizan. Yizan thought he was silent in the genin pile, but he didn't know that a lot of genins around looked at Yizan with envious eyes, because he was the shortest in the genin pile. You're a good kid too. Look at your age. About 10 years old. Is it really a genius to be able to go to war? 3rd-year student at a ninja school. Genins who participate in war must first have a certain amount of mission experience and the ability to face crises. That is to say, none of the genin who go to the battlefield is younger than 15 years old. Might Die is quite old. He and Hatake Sakumo grew up together, because Hatake Sakumo's strength is getting stronger and stronger, especially after becoming Minister Anbu. He needs to hide his identity. Although they are still good friends, the two have not seen each other for a long time. Might Die's character is very funny. Yizan knew this from the original book. When he found Might Die in the genin regiment behind the main force, he slowed down slowly from the front and landed at the back. Might Die mistakenly thought that Yizan was a genin genius, and Yizan didn't point it out. He laughed jokingly, turned over suddenly, put his hands on the tree trunk, and moved forward like Might Die's movements. Your name is Might Die, right? I've heard your name. How about teaching me physical skills? Yizan followed Might Die's speed at the same time. Became 2. Might Die didn't agree or refuse to teach physical skills, as if he didn't hear the second half of the words at all. At this moment, his eyes were shining, his face was full of excitement and excitement. Boy, what you just said, is it true? You've heard my name. I Might Die already, so famous in Konoha. Of course. Eternal genin, there's no one in the Konoha ninja circle who doesn't know you. Yizan laughed and joked, which immediately embarrassed Might Die. The conversation between the two was overheard by a group of civilians around genin. Everyone laughed happily, and looked at Might Die with disdain in their eyes. Might Die of the same level for one day, just because the other party has worked hard for their dreams but never succeeded. Self-pity. Just as everyone laughed, Might Dai's face turned Yuhi, and Yizan was smiling. A man with a samurai sword around his waist instantly appeared beside Yizan. Lord Moonlight Yefeng. The appearance of the man immediately caused the genin circle to explode, and all the genin looked at him respectfully with excited expressions on their faces. Isn't Lord Moonlight Yefeng at the forefront? Why did you come here? It must be to teach Might Dai a lesson. It's a fight now, and Might Dai is still running upside down with his hands on a tree to waste his energy. It's not like looking for death. No, everyone knows what Might Dai looks like. I think Lord Yefeng should teach that kid a lesson. Just be arrogant because he is a genius genin, and follow Might Dai to learn how to stand upside down. This kind of arrogant genius is on the battlefield. It won't last long at all. The genins were talking a lot, and Might Dai naturally heard it. He looked up at Yugong Yefeng and found that Lord Jonin's eyes were very cold. Oops. Hearing the analysis of the surrounding genins, Might Dai also thought that Yugong Yefeng wanted to punish the boy he just met. Perhaps thinking that Yizan was not good enough, Might Dai was anxious, and immediately got up and turned around in the air, his feet firmly stepping on the tree trunk. Lord Yefeng, this little brother is because. Call out. The cold eyes instantly blocked Might Dai's words. Moonlight Yefeng silently looked at Might Dai and the surrounding genin. Then, he turned to face Yizan, bent over, and his tone was full of respect. Master Zan, Master Danzo has something to do with you. Boom. It was like an earthquake of magnitude 10. When Yugong Yefeng said the words, everyone around them stared, completely dumbfounded. Even Might Dai, who was always stupid, opened his mouth, and his idiot's brain didn't understand what was going on. Alright, Yifeng, stop teasing this group of genins. You too, if you say that, how can I hide in the genin in the future? Yizan glared at Yugong Yefeng fiercely, so scared that Yugong Yefeng took a half step back, and his bent waist was even more bent. Master Zan, Yifeng is wrong. But Master Danzo is really looking for you, and your subordinates are very innocent. His eyes changed from looking at genin coldly to aggrieved, and he pouted slightly, completely losing all the air he showed just now. Field. Bah, are you still pouting? Is it disgusting? Don't be cute. Don't be innocent. Tell you, you're finished. Yizan glared at Yugong Yefeng again, ignoring the surrounding genin, and slapped Might Dai with a smile greeting. The Legion commander has something to do with me. I'll go and see you later, Tilda. After Yizan finished speaking, he disappeared instantly, and the speed was so fast that the group of genins couldn't react at all. Then, Moonlight Yefeng jumped and disappeared without a trace, leaving only a group of genin looking at each other. Might Dai, you're in luck. Chapter 171-Map Canon. The genins in the back were whispering about Yizan's identity, and at the front, Danzo, Yizan and the strongest among the elite genin were leading the way. Jiraiya, why haven't you broken through yet? My Tsunade has broken through for so long, why haven't you broken through yet? There is no one else except Yizan who can say such words. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiraiya immediately bit Kiba and looked at Yizan with angry eyes. Stinky bastard, what are you proud of? This uncle can break through at any time if he wants to break through. I just don't want to break through. He said this, but with a hint of unconfidence in his tone. Yizan picked up his nose with disdain, pinched it into a ball, and flicked it on Jiraiya's clothes. Are you looking for death, kid? Tisk, it sounds like you can beat me. A whirling blue light appeared from the fingertips that popped out of the booger, causing Jiraiya to shrink her neck and turn her head angrily. Humph, when I break through Kuan Yin, I will definitely beat you up. When the two quarreled, the elites around them wanted to laugh. Danzo sighed helplessly, looking at Yizan with doting eyes. Xiao Zan, it's war now. Well, I know, that's why Jiraiya is so daring and dares to scold the superior of 697 to shut up. I am superior. Jiraiya, do you know, I am your superior, Tilda. Yizan is indeed a superior. As the chief of staff of the Kingdom of Thunder, he is the second person in the Legion. Below Danzo, above everyone, is everyone's superior. What about the superiors? You were the one who mocked me first. Jiraiya was extremely aggrieved, and for the sake of justice, he finally chose to shut up. It for the sake of righteousness, for Konoha. Jiraiya, who was full of AQ's spirit, gradually calmed down. He glanced at Yizan disdainfully and snorted, as if he was such a great person that he would not care about you. In order to make the Thunder Kingdom's front last longer, Sarutobi brought all the strongest among the Konoha elite Jonin under Danzo's command. Among this group of people are Hyuga Taro, the head of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Soji, the second character of the Hyuga branch, Konoha's night dancer Moonlight Yefeng, Konoha's almighty Jonin Mitarashi Zishao, Konoha's strongest demonic illusion ninja Yuhihiro, Jiraiya, and Yizan. Danzo is a cage level, Yizan is an ordinary Jonin, and the rest of the group have the opportunity to break through to the cage level powerhouses. As for whether they can break through, when they break through, it depends on their talent and their usual accumulation. With one more quasi-shadow, the Thunder Kingdom's front can last longer. Anyway, Danzo never thought that he could win against Kumogakure. After all, his army is only 1/3 of Konoha's strength. Thousands guard the village, and 7,000 can be sent to attack Konoha. But seriously, Moonlight Yefeng, what you just did was really annoying. I originally wanted to hide in the genin pile, so that even if I encounter an enemy, I don't have to fight against the masters, but you see now, follow you, whatever you want. If you want to be killed by a master. Mocking Jiraiya, Yizan immediately aimed the map cannon at Moonlight Yefeng. Several people around have heard of Yizan's causing trouble, more or less, but such an old acquaintance Hyuga Zongji will not talk about it, and even the serious and dignified Hyuga Patriarch dare not speak casually, for fear that this map cannon will lead to it. On yourself. Master Zan, I'm wronged. I just ordered Master Danzo to come forward, but I... Cough cough. A few soft coughs, Danzo winked fiercely at the moonlight and the night wind. He knew that his son was going crazy, so he didn't care about the occasion, even his own father. In order to maintain the majesty of the Legion commander, Danzo can only put the responsibility on Yugong Yefeng. The poor man pouted aggrievedly and almost cried. Master Zan, yes, it's my fault. This matter has nothing to do with Master Danzo, it's all my fault. Ha, you finally admitted it. Seeing Yugong Yefeng confessing his guilt, Yizan was so happy that he almost jumped up. Then, he looked at Yugong Yefeng with a serious face and turned on the chattering mode of reprimanding. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Yizan kept recounting the moonlight night breeze, and the sound of GGG was a little unbearable for even the people next to him, and the first thing that could not be tolerated was the sunset called Yuhi-colored sunset. That, Xiao Zan. Oh, Uncle Sunset, what, are you going to marry me? Circled.operator_circled.operator. Sunset widened his eyes stupidly. He didn't expect that as soon as he opened his mouth, he was bombarded by the map. That. Shiryeon glanced at Danzo embarrassedly, and after seeing Danzo's attitude of following things on its own, he wrinkled his face with a wry smile, and said cautiously, Xiao Zan, I don't have a daughter yet tilde. Ah, no daughter. Are you ready to have a long time? Ah, this. Secret tilde. No, there are no secrets in the Legion. Say, when are you going to have a baby? Yizan's serious attitude finally made Shiryeon panic. Although he recognized Yizan, who does not know Yizan's behavior? He had 3 girls at a young age. Even if he did give birth to a daughter in the future, he would I don't want my daughter to be with Yizan either. Sunset glanced at Danzo again, and the appearance of asking for help finally made Danzo sigh. He turned his head righteously, with the greatness of dying with generosity in his eyes. Xiao Zan, let's not make trouble for now, I just asked you to come over, there is an important matter to discuss. As soon as Danzo said that, the sunset was relieved immediately, and he looked at Danzo gratefully, his eyes were particularly admiring. As expected of Mr. Danzo, he can take over all the power of Xiaoshuan at this time. Bah, if it weren't for you being pitiful, I wouldn't want to provoke Xiaoshuan at this time. Danzo glared at the sunset fiercely, and then patted Yizan's head, attracting all Yizan's attention. According to the strategy formulated before departure, we are looking for a favorable place to stick to it, but I just thought about it and thought of another way. In what way? Didn't the Kumogakure village find a new granary transfer station? I think, can we divide thousands of people to storm the transfer station and directly destroy the transfer station? What do you think? Danzo asked, but, when he found Yizan's strange gaze, his heart tightened, and he secretly screamed bad. Lord Legionnaire, are you stupid? Chapter 172 _ Mental Retardation. The Granary Transit Station is the lifeblood of the Kumogakure Corps. It was destroyed last time, and 2,000 people on the battlefield were forced to retreat to the country. This time, the Kumogakure Corps has at least more than 6,000 ninjas, and their transit station is definitely bigger. And more rigorously. The village of Kumogakure has no money. If the food is destroyed again this time, they may withdraw from the ninja war. Can the 3 generations of Hokage endure it? Can the great name of the Kingdom of Thunder endure it? So for the Granary Transfer Station, they definitely have more than 1,000 of ninjas are stationed, and the way in and out has also been optimized a lot. Quote, there may be 7,000 ninjas dispatched from Kumogakure village, but Yizan guessed that 1,000 ninjas will be stationed in the transfer station, and others are not fools, and will not fall on the same weakness twice. One more point. Yizan exhaled, he said this in one breath, and was a little tired. One more point. If we storm the fortress guarded by 1,000 people, we will send at least 2,000 people, and it will continue. The war of attrition is time-consuming and labor-intensive. At that time, what if Kumogakure on the frontal battlefield returns to help? Don't say anything, you will hold it back. Just rely on your remaining more than 1,000 people to hold back 6,000 people on the frontal battlefield. When am I stupid or the 3rd generation of Hokage is stupid? Quote. Yizan's analysis was eloquent, and Danzo was immediately stunned. He was still thinking in his heart, can you bastard give me some face? Is it really okay to reprimand me in front of everyone? Thinking like this, Danzo didn't say anything in the end. He pitifully accepted all Yizan's reprimands, waved his hand, and pointed his finger at Mitarashi Zishao. Xiaozan, this is Uncle Zishao. Hello, Uncle Zishao. Yizan saluted obediently, his jet-black eyes rolled straight, looking elf-cute. That moment, Mitarashi Zishao only felt that his heart was about to jump out. He glanced at Danzo fiercely, and nodded kindly towards Yizan. Xiaozan, hello. Uncle Zishao, what do you think of me? Ah, you. Of course you are very good. You are smart and strong. You are the hope of our next generation of Konoha. Mitarashi Zishao smiled, but his heart became more and more nervous, for fear that the other party would raise the question of marrying his daughter again. However, the more you are afraid of what, the more you want to come. At this moment, Yizan scratched his head a little shyly, and blinked his eyes cutely. Uncle Zishao, since you said that I am so good, then marry my daughter to me. Xiaozan, I don't have a child now, and even if I have one in the future, it's not necessarily a daughter tilde. It doesn't matter, we just agreed that if you have a daughter, you will marry me. That, actually our family has a family tradition, and it is a very traditional monogamous model. Xiaoshuan, you are. It's hard for me to handle it. Mitarashi Zishao lied solemnly, even Yizan did not distinguish. Now that the other party has brought out the family tradition, Yizan can only shrug his shoulders and express his helplessness. At this moment, Hyuga Soji, who was on the side, suddenly spoke, and his words made everyone's faces serious. Report to the Corps Commander, we have reached the 3rd defense. Between the country of fire and the country of thunder, there are 2 small countries. The Kingdom of Soup and the Kingdom of Fire are handed over, and the Kingdom of the Moon and the Kingdom of Thunder are handed over. In order to resist the attack of Kumogakure village, a strategic layout was formulated before the expedition, and the third defensive place was the junction of the Land of Fire and the Land of Soup. Any news from the Kumogakure Corps? The border between the two countries. Danzo's face was a little dignified. They set off 3 days ago, and at that time, Kumogakure village had not set off. According to spy reports, the Kumogakure force arrived at their newly built transfer station a day ago. Oh, a day ago, we still have time. Thinking of this, Danzo waved his hand, and the troops moved forward again. Half Chunin and half Genin stay, build fortifications, and the rest speed up. March. After another day, everyone came to the junction of the Land of Soup and the Land of the Moon. The terrain here is wide, extremely gentle, and endless, with dry grass and stones everywhere. The place where Danzo and the others are located is a high place. How can I describe it? This high place seems to rise out of the ground, 10 meters higher than the endless wasteland. To be precise, the endless short side is the territory of the country of the moon. The boundless high side is the territory of the country of Tang. The border between the two countries is divided according to this line, stretching for dozens of kilometers, and the end of both sides is the sea. You don't need to go to the first defense area. Even if you cross the country of the moon and reach the border of the country of thunder, you won't have time to build defense facilities, so the second defense area will be the main defense point. Everyone, go all out. Danzo gave an order. Most of the ninjas, including Yizan, jumped down from a height of 10 meters and walked to the wilderness of the Land of the Moon to dig traps. A small number of ninjas stepped back 1,000 meters and started to build a camp. There was also a group of people including the Hyuga clan. Perceptive ninjas spread to the left and right, and they want to understand the surrounding several kilometers to prevent accidents and dangers. Big countries fight, small countries suffer. Because of Sarutobi's kindness, Konoha reminded the civilians of Tang and Moon countries to evacuate as early as a year ago. Nobody cares about you. The dozen or so small towns that must be passed have almost become empty towns in just 1 year, which also makes the supply of Danzo Corps difficult. This is also the kindness of Sarutobi. Although it caused a little difficulty for the Cow Corps, there are many small countries. The two hard civilians began to pour into the Fire Nation, adding a lot of labor and population to the Fire Nation. Danzo built defensive fortifications on the border between the Land of Soup and the Land of the Moon, and the army of Kumogakure village also left the Land of Thunder and officially entered the Land of the Moon. Report Lord Rakage, this is a very good defensive position. Do we need to build fortifications here? The muscle pimples in Kumogakure village are not very IQ. At this moment, a Jonin, who is 5 big and 3 thick, came to the third generation Rakage to ask questions about the brain. Damn mental retardation. Third generation of Rakage was furious and punched the Jonin a few dozen meters away, then fell into the rock next to him and passed out. Fix your damn defenses. I want to attack. From now on, whoever dares to say defense and retreat in front of me will be your fate. Keep going. Chapter 173 _ head-to-head battle. Damn mental retardation. The second defense, Yizan scolded with his feet jumping. Who taught your defense traps? Who would be caught in such an idiot trap? Most of the people who were scolded were genin, and there was also a small amount of chunin. He was scolding as he walked, and he didn't know what he stepped on. With a crooked foot, he screamed and slipped into a deep pit. Didn't you get caught yourself? Chunin, who was just scolded, muttered in a low voice, causing more than a dozen chunin around to stare. When Master Zan was angry, he retorted, "You don't want to live anymore, don't drag us to die together." Damn, I have become mentally retarded. In the deep pit, Yizan crawled out with a displeased face. He stared viciously at the chunin who created the trap for a long time, and finally stomped his feet unhappy. Boy, what's your name? Lord Zan, my name is Morino Chibi, and I'm a member of the Konoha Torture Department. Also, Lord Zan, I'm 20 years old and older than you. You can't call me a kid. His reply made the expressions of the dozen or so chunin around him change drastically. and at the same time he took a step back, for fear that Lord Zan would take his anger on him. But this time, Yi Zan didn't get angry. He stared at this man with great interest, finally turned around, and walked away carelessly. Morino Chinbi, very good, I remember you. Your traps are well done. As the chief of staff, I will not use privileges against you, but when you have a son, I hope you can train him well. Don't let me take the chance to piss him off. Yi Zan's words were like cold water in winter, causing everyone to shudder and take the initiative to stay away from Morino. And Morino Chinbi himself stared at Yi Zan's back without fear. Seeing Yi Zan walking further and further, he boldly stretched out his fist and waved a few times at Yi Zan's back. Wait, I have a son, and I will definitely train him to be better. I will train him to be the head of the torture department, and then I will see how you treat him. A small episode did not affect Yi Zan's mood, because his mood was neither good nor bad. Looking at several elite Jonin on the slope, he immediately walked over to check the trap. Master Zan. Well, how's it going? Our Doden Earth-style ninjas have buried the trigger detonator under the slope, and more than a dozen slopes of the several kilometers of the front are buried. Yes. Yi Zan nodded lightly. They were all normal traps, nothing exciting. There is no particularly good defense between the Land of Thunder and the Land of Fire, and the 3 generations of Reikage are powerful and fierce, and anything that stands in front of him will be destroyed. In addition, most of the Kumogakure ninjas are Raiden, Thunder style, with strong body. Things like physique powerhouses, traps, and detonating talismans don't work very well for them. The construction of the fortifications is completed, only waiting for the enemy to attack. The Konoha ninja didn't wait long. After just one day, a large number of dark shadows appeared on the distant horizon. It's Kumogakure. Kumogakure is here. The ninja in charge of the observation reminded loudly that soon, the Konoha ninjas came out of the tent. Everyone's ninja bag was full of ninja gear, and some extreme ninjas even had detonation symbols on their bodies. Covered it up with clothes. The Kumogakure ninjas stopped at a place 3 kilometers away and gathered. In just a few minutes, about 6,000 ninjas gathered together. At the front, was the 3rd generation of Reikage, and behind the 3rd generation of Reikage were the 2-tailed people Jinchuiki, Column Force and Yayuii. Hi, 3 generations of Reikage, Yayuii. How are you? A voice suddenly sounded in the empty wasteland, causing the ninjas on both sides to be stunned for a while. Danzo's face was full of helplessness. On the Kumogakure village, Yayuii and the 3rd generation of Reikage were stunned for a while, and then a violent murderous aura emerged. It's that kid. It's that kid. The two spoke at the same time and looked at each other in surprise at the same time. Well, Yi Zan should be the only person in the world who can injure the 3rd generation Reikage and the future 4th generation Reikage in less than half a year. The 3rd generation of Reikage was injured and Yii's mission to attack the Uzumaki Patriarch failed gradually spread in the Kumogakure village. Suddenly, the terrifying murderous aura overflowed from the Kumogakure Legion, and everyone looked at Yi Zan several kilometers away angrily. Look at me. You can kill me by staring at me. If your eyes can kill you, I would have died 10,000 times. Just do it. Come and kill me. Yi Zan jumped up and down like a flea, twisted his butt from time to time, and did a few tiptoe dances. His expression was like a drop of oil, which instantly detonated the Kumogakure volcano. Kill. A loud roar, the 3rd generation of Reikage burst out with dazzling thunder. He suddenly stepped on the ground, and with a whoosh, he rushed for 100 meters. Kill. Kumogakure ninjas roared furiously and rushed towards Konoha frantically. Even though they knew there were traps ahead, they were not afraid. This is the Kumogakure spirit. Boom. Boom. The detonating talismans exploded one by one, killing 2 or 3 Kumogakure ninjas around them. Many ninjas slipped into the traps, but crawled out of the traps covered in blood, with wounds all over their bodies. Boom. 6,000 ninjas were not afraid of death, and quickly rushed through most of the trap areas. The terrifying aura made Konoha's face turn pale. Danzo discovered this. He knew that he couldn't wait any longer. For Konoha, for the homeland, kill. With a loud roar from Danzo, 3,000 Konoha ninjas rushed out. Jiraiya and Danzo looked at each other, and at the same time Hand-Seal, the terrifying chakra burst out. The art of psychic. The art of psychic. Boom. Boom. The huge smoke filled the air, and the Toad Wentai and the Nightmare Taper appeared on the battlefield. Danzo stared at the third-generation Hokage seriously, jumped 3.4, and instantly stood on the Nightmare's head. Jiraiya, Zishao, Hyuga Patriarch, let's deal with Hokage together. Hyuga Zongji, Yuhyung, Moonlight Yefeng, and other masters of Kumogakure village, I'll leave it to you. As ordered. Everyone shouted and rushed towards their target instantly. In fact, they knew that there was no chance of winning if 3,000 people beat 6,000 people. Even so, for Konoha, they had to work hard, and they had to stop the attack of Kumogakure village. At this moment, Yizan didn't rush out. He smirked and stepped back hundreds of meters, suddenly took out a scroll from his arms, spread it on the ground, bit his finger, and drew a bloodstain on the scroll. The Art of Psychic. Chapter 174 _ The Slug Fairy joins the battle. The Art of Psychic. The Art of Psychic. The Art of Psychic. Boom, boom, bang. The Konoha ninjas tried their best to resist the Kumogakure attack, but at the rear, Yizan used the psychic technique without arrogance or impatience. On average every 5 seconds, Yizan channeled a slug several meters in size each time. After 2 minutes, more than 20 slugs gathered around Yizan. Little slug, how long is it? Yizan wiped the sweat that did not exist on his forehead, and took a lazy breath. The body of the slug immortal was too big, and even after 20 times of channeling, he did not completely channel her out. Well, the main reason is that Yizan's total amount of chakra is not high, and the level of ordinary Jonin can only be channeled a few meters at a time. It's still early, Xiaoshuan, keep going tilde. The slug fairy moved her tentacles, and the 2 small eyes at the top of the tentacles squinted from time to time. Her tone was a little happy. She never thought that one day she would be channeled in this way. The war of ninjas is very cruel, especially the first collision, because both sides do not know the overall strength of the other side. In these 2 minutes, Konoha and Kumogakure have died a total of more than 100 ninjas. The Technique of Psychic 05. The Technique of Psychic. The Technique of Psychic. Bang bang bang. After a few more minutes, Yizan wiped the non-existent sweat on his forehead again and put away the psychic scroll. The last psychic, finally no new slug came out, that is to say, the body of the slug fairy was all channeled out by myself. A lot. Quote. If you don't see it, you don't know, but if you look carefully, you will be shocked. Yi Shuenkai discovered that he was actually covered by a group of big white blue bugs equals. Little slug, can you fit together? I have a phobia tilde. Yizan slapped his mouth and finally covered his eyes with his hands. Really intensive phobia. Really? Okay, then you wait. After the slug finished speaking, Yizan heard the sound of crashing around him. After a while, the slug's voice sounded again. Okay, you can open your eyes. Hearing the sound of the slug, Yizan did not hesitate, opened his eyes, and what caught his eye were tens of thousands of small slugs the size of a slap, densely distributed on the ground. You really have enough, little slug O_O. Yizan covered his eyes with grief and anger, and his whole body stood up. The feeling of tens of thousands of slugs staring at you with their eyes raised at the same time is really life-threatening. Hee hee, I'm sorry, Xiaozan, it's the first time in hundreds of years that I'm so excited tilde. The slug immortal did not look like an immortal at all. Instead, he laughed a little like Yizan. Tens of thousands of slap-sized slugs quickly gathered, and after a while, a powerful momentum burst out. That's what it feels like. You've finally changed back. Yizan opened his eyes fiercely, and sure enough, the slug turned into a super blue and white worm with a height of 100 meters and a length of nearly 200 meters. What is that? Is it Tsunade-sama's psychic beast? No way. This one. is completely different. Xiaozan did it. Everyone didn't know that Danzo stood on the head of the dream taper and clearly saw Yizan next to the slug. Such a terrifying power not only Danzo, but even the third generation Hokage stopped attacking, which made Jiraiya and others breathe a sigh of relief. 3 generations of Hokage are too strong. Cooperation of several top elites, Jonin and Danzo and Meng Taper, only dragged down the 3 generations of Hokage. Even so, Meng Taper and Mitarashi Zishao were also injured by the 3rd generation of Hokage. If this goes on, it will not last long. Zishao and Meng Taper will die. Will lose combat effectiveness, and the remaining few people want to contain the 3 generations of Hokage, it is even more difficult. Yizan is here. When everyone could not stand it, he and Slug finally joined the battlefield. 3 generations of Hokage to me and the Slug, you go and beat the others. Yizan ordered loudly, and several people did not hesitate to give up the 3 generations of Hokage immediately. Danzo supported Hyuga Soji and Moonlight Hayate, who were beaten into dogs by the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Jiraiya blocked Yayui I, and Mitarashi Zishao was injured, so he and Meng Taper supported the rest of the elite Jonin. Because of the number of problems, even with Toad Bunta and Umeda, Konoha's situation is still not optimistic. At this moment, Yizan was standing on the head of the slug, with his arms around him. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he looked slow and unhurried. 3 generations of Hokage, haven't seen him for more than half a year. Yeah, it's been more than half a year, but your strength doesn't seem to have improved much. The 3rd generation Hokage stared at Yizan coldly. Although the wound on his back healed, he deliberately left it on. The cage-level powerhouse was seriously injured by the mere Jonin sneak attack, which is a shame. He will keep the scar, and he will never forget it for the rest of his life. Generation Hokage is not afraid of slugs. He is the one who can single out the 8 tails and defeat the 8 tails. Although the mere slugs have the momentum beyond cage level, he is not afraid at all. He just wants to talk to Yizan. For this lack, the 10-year-old boy has both admiration and a strong killing intent in his heart. Facing the ridicule of the 3 generations of Hokage, Yizan just smiled. Becoming a Jonin at the age of less than 10 years old, enough to be proud of himself, Yizan has never been in a hurry. That indifferent and calm demeanor made the face of the 3 generations of Hokage even colder. As expected of Konoha's top talent, with such an air of grace at such an age, even I can't compare to you. Hearing Hokage's words, Yizan was delighted, and he twisted his butt on the slug's head mockingly. You must know that Yayui I's future strength is really not comparable to the 3rd generation Hokage. Yayui I, Lord Hokage, stop joking. How could you compare him to me? Aren't you taking the initiative to embarrass your son? The brat is arrogant. Ignorant old man. Looking for death. Hit me. Call out. The terrifying thunder scorched the surrounding 5-meter ground, bent his knees, kicked the ground, and the ground shattered. Watch out, slugs. Look at me. Tongue and teeth are sore. Hokage like a torrent. Facing the overwhelming attack, the 3rd generation Hokage just snorted in disdain, dodged like a flash, turned a corner, and quickly rushed to the slug. Boom. A loud bang, a punch. In the next second, the slug exploded, turning into tens of thousands of small slugs, jumping and dodging. I'm sorry, the 3rd generation Hokage, I am immune to all damage. Chapter 175_pair. The battle between Konoha and Kumogakure is getting fiercer, and the Konoha ninja are dying faster and faster due to the disparity in numbers. The top elite Jonins are better, Jiraiya and Yayui are tied. Although Mitarashi Zishao was injured by 3 generations of Hokage, his almighty played a very good effect at this time. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, demonic illusion, each of which can cause damage to the enemy, and has already killed 3 Kumogakure, the elite Jonin. As Konoha's strongest demonic illusion master, Yuhyung is extremely powerful on the battlefield, especially for Chunin and Jonin, who are slightly weaker. Under a large demonic illusion, in a trance, Kumogakure was killed by Konoha ninja. Toad Wentai and Meng Taper are even more powerful. The dream taper is quasi-shadow, and a large range of futon wind style can kill a group of Kumogakure in seconds. Kumogakure is not stupid, and soon divided more than 30 elite Jonin to contain Nightmare Taper and Toad Wentai, making it difficult for the two psychic beasts to exert their effect. On Danzo's side, in order to suppress the Jinchuriki column force of the two-tailed people as soon as possible, Hyuga's patriarch Hyuga Taro, Hyuga Soji, Moonlight Hayate and Danzo attacked the two-tailed people's Jinchuriki column force at the same time, and the opponent was defeated step by step. Second tail. Their purpose is very simple. They want to force the Jinchuriki column force of the two-tailed people to completely turn into a beast and become a big killer that does not distinguish between enemy and foe. The Konoha masters tried their best, but Konoha was still at a disadvantage. At this moment, Yuzan was surrounded by blue light and was attacking Reikage with the slug. The tongue and teeth are sour. Whoa! The flood-like corrosive liquid forced the third-generation Reikage to avoid it. This is the only attack skill of the slug. After hitting, it can dissolve everything. The attack effect is extremely strong. Cut. As an immortal who has lived for hundreds of thousands of years, the strength of the slug immortal cannot be underestimated. Although he is not good at fighting, his only attacking skill has become an extremely terrifying trick. It's hard to hit. Little slug, can you vomit faster? Yuzan quickly fell down, dodging a thunder fist, put his hands on the ground, and kicked his feet violently. Boom! A loud bang, Yuzan kicked the third-generation Reikage half a step back. The thunder and the whirlwind collided, causing a violent howl. With his full-strength kick, he only kicked the Raiden Thunder-style armor into a small depression. Damn, the strength of the third-generation Reikage has become stronger again. Yuzan shouted. Before his feet could be retracted, the fist of the third-generation Reikage fell from the sky and smashed towards Yuzan's head fiercely. Go to hell. Boom. The earth shook, and the surrounding 100 meters were shaken into powder by the explosive thunder. There were even two fighting Chunin because they accidentally got too close. They were directly affected by the thunder and instantly turned into two cokes. The increasingly fierce battle made all the ninjas tremble, including the elite Jonin. The ninjas in the battle tacitly stayed away from the battle circle of the three generations of Reikage. For fear of a spillover, they were instantly killed by thunder. At this moment, Yuzan was lying on the ground. The Cyan Uzumaki turned frantically, and the futon wind-style armor on his forehead became more and more concave, as if he would be crushed by Reikage in the next second. He has two Yuhi-colored bars right now, and a Yuhi-colored circle on his forehead. Sage mode is turned on, increasing his strength several times or even 10 times, but the gap between Jonin and the third-generation Reikage is too great. Oops! Sage Art Chakra is almost gone. At this moment, Yuzan's pupils shrank sharply, and found that his futon wind-style armor began to tremble rapidly, with waves of fluctuations. Obviously, the futon wind-style armor condensed by Sage Art Chakra was about to disappear. The tongue and teeth are sour. With a terrifying chakra fluctuation, the slug directly aimed the corrosive liquid at the third-generation Reikage and Yuzan. Looking at the opponent's shield, it can last for about 2 seconds, but when the corrosive liquid comes down, can it withstand it for 2 seconds? Generation Reikage's eyes flickered. Although he really wanted to kill Yuzan, he didn't want to block his own life for no reason. He had seen the power of the corrosive liquid before, but just a touch would corrode a small piece of his armor. And even if he dodged himself, the kid couldn't escape the corrosive liquid. In this way, the kid would be dead no matter what. The complicated situation was instantly thought through in the mind of the third-generation Reikage. Seeing that the corrosive liquid was getting closer, he immediately retreated and narrowly avoided the attack. Boom! The yellow-brown torrent finally drowned Yuzan, and a smile flashed across the eyes of the third-generation Reikage. The injury on his back would never be forgotten, and at this moment, he finally solved this shame. However, in the next second, a burst of chakra fluctuations came out from the torrent, his pupils shrank, and his smile froze instantly. Corrosive liquid dissipated, and the third generation Reikage was shocked to find that a blue-white thing wrapped Yizan completely. As the corrosive liquid disappeared, the blue-white thing arched up and turned into a small 2-meter slug. Oh, so it is. Very good protection skills. Third generation of Reikage sneered, and the thunder on his body became stronger and stronger. You must know that in the future, he will be a super strong with 1 vs 10,000 and fought for 3 days and 3 nights. The chakra consumes so far as nothing at all. It doesn't matter, you are not afraid of chakra consumption, nor am I. As if to understand the other party's thoughts, Yizan smiled and blinked his eyes, clapped his hands, and the powerful momentum broke out again. Sage mode. Yuhi-colored bar appeared on his face again, and a 2-second rest filled Yizan's chakra again. This time, he didn't hesitate, raised his right hand high, and in the next instant, a smooth and transparent crystal ball appeared in his hand. Senpo, Sage Art. Raiden, Thunder Style. Rasengan Shuriken. All in one go. The bright and clean thunder ball shone with dense thunder, and a whoosh was thrown at the third generation Reikage. Faced with such a terrifying ninjutsu, the third generation of Reikage just sneered, stepped on the ground, turned into a lightning bolt and instantly shifted hundreds of meters. At this moment, a blue light shone, and instantly appeared behind the third generation of Reikage. Yizan smiled, and his index finger burst into a subtle but terrifying spiral blue light. Although the heart of the strong has only 1 second of double acceleration, you can still sneak up on you. Senpo, Sage Art. Futon, Wind Style. Spiral Thrust. The cyan wind drill was exactly the same as the one in his memory. At that moment, the third generation Reikage only felt a dull pain in his back. He was furious, and his pupils burst out with crazy killing intent. Stinky brat, don't be too arrogant. I've endured you for a long time. Stab from hell. It's all in one book. Chapter 176-lose both. Boom. A loud bang, Raiden Thunder Style Rasengan erupted into a super smashing field 200 meters high and 200 meters wide. When the ninjas on the battlefield were too shocked to react. Boom. Another even more terrifying shock. The violent shock wave sent Chunin flying thousands of meters around. The Jonin bit Kiba tightly, and a trace of blood flowed from the eardrum. At the center of the explosion, Yizan flew hundreds of meters backwards with his eyes closed, completely losing consciousness. His body was enveloped in slugs, emitting a healing green glow. The third generation of Reikage took a few dozen steps back, his right hand trembled uncontrollably, and the index finger that used a hand was weirdly crooked, obviously it had been broken. Not only that, there were more than 500 tiny wounds on his entire arm. The wounds bleed, and the whole arm was dyed Yuhi color in an instant, and the third generation Reikage immediately recovered all the chakras and started simple wound control. Shaozan. Sir Reikage. The top players on both sides discovered the situation at the same time. Danzo was furious, and his heart was going crazy. Seeing that the two-tailed man Jinchuriki column was still entangled with him, he finally couldn't help it, and his pupils burst into horror. Fierce light. Saoyu, mom, get out of my way. Futon, Wind Style. Rasengan Shuriken. The cells of the palm were destroyed by the violent Futon, Wind Style, but Danzo didn't care at all. He held the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force with his left hand, and smashed his right hand into the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force's face. Boom. A loud bang. Danzo and Konoha's top players were swept away by a violent shock wave. Then, a terrifying spiral hurricane ripped apart, cutting the surrounding tens of meters of land into powder. Roar. Roaring like a wild beast, the purple-black chakra ignited in the center of the hurricane, suffering unbearable ninjutsu. The two-tailed Jinchuriki column force consciousness completely collapsed, and completely tailed beast. Rumbling. Futon, Wind Style, Kaden, Fire Style, Shikuden, Scorch Style. The endless ninjutsu smashed in all directions, and at that moment, dozens of Kumogakure ninjas were killed in seconds, and dozens of Konoha ninjas died at the hands of Two Tails. Two Tails are out. Konoha didn't quite know it, but Kumogakure knew it very well. but because of it, a stronger fear arose in their hearts. At this moment, Danzo had caught Yizan, and Jiraiya Hyuga and others gathered around Danzo. The slug fairy once again divided a small slug and placed it on Danzo's right palm for treatment. The healing effect of the fairy-level treatment was stronger than that of Tsunade. Soon, Danzo's right palm was less painful, but he felt distressed and saw that Yizan was in a coma. Feel very distressed. A few hundred meters away, Yi Yai and a group of elites also came to Hokage. Sir Hokage. Well, I didn't expect her way to come out and make trouble at this time, Shimura Danzo's last blow. Learn from his son. Generation Hokage glanced coldly at Danzo in the distance, and Danzo also stared at the third generation Hokage coldly. In the end, the two waved at the same time and issued orders at the same time. All troops retreat. Third generation of Hokage was injured, and it took most of the energy to recover the Jinchuiki column force from the two tails. Konoha did not dare to attack. After Slug Immortal's treatment, Danzo's right palm was completely restored, but Slug Immortal also warned that this repair can only be repaired a few times. If Danzo uses the Rasengan Shuriken indiscriminately, his right hand will be completely disabled. Yizan has woken up. Relying on Sage Mode, he had the strongest collision with the third generation Hokage, but unfortunately, he still lost in the end. Fortunately, with the Slug Immortal, Yizan's injury can be healed in a few days, but the Slug Immortal's chakra is also limited. With so many wounded Konoha, the Slug Immortal said there was nothing he could do. Send the wounded who are completely horrified back to the third defense area, and let all the Chunin in the third defense area come here. The Kumogakure village should not be attacking these days. Also, can the secret weapon be used? The last sentence, Danzo turned his head to ask Yizan. Yizan was silent for a while, and finally shook his head. Uzumaki Ryayama and Uzumaki Mawako stayed in the third defensive position. Now the morale of the Kumogakure village is too high. Even if there is a Kyubi Ninetales Jinchuriki column force, the opponent will not necessarily back down, and Uzumaki Mawako's strength is too weak. You have to rely on the on-the-spot support of Uzumaki Ryushin to play the quasi-shadow strength. Just let them be there, run in more, and the effect will be better at that time. Quote. The right to use the Jinchuriki column power from Kyubi Ninetales was decided before the expedition, and it was completely handed over to Yizan. Danzo had no objection to this. Since Yizan knew what to do, he did not continue to refute. The atmosphere in the tent was a bit dignified. In the first confrontation, Konoha seriously injured 400 people and killed more than 300 people. In Kumogakure village, there were only about 400 people killed and seriously injured. This not only damaged the morale of Konoha ninjas, but also opened up difference between the numbers of the two sides. Jiraiya, how is our high-end combat power now? The high-end combat power is not damaged. The slug has already healed Zishao and the rest of the elite. This is the limit. Unless there is Tsunade, she and the slug can cooperate to use some group therapy by relying on the signed psychic contract. After Jiraiya finished speaking, she glanced at Yizan unhappily. He was very depressed. This little devil is exactly the same as Tsunade with connected spirit beasts, like a couple style, which made him very unhappy. Jiraiya's small eyes were instantly discovered by Yizan. Yizan's eyes rolled, and a smirk swept across the corner of his mouth. Jiraiya, are you upset with me? Humph, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You also sign for slugs. What's the point of signing a toad? You still want to eat swan meat. Little devil, don't mess with me. If it wasn't for your injury. Yo, as if I don't get hurt, you can beat me. Yizan's last sentence immediately made Jiraiya stuck. He groaned and turned his head angrily. Little devil, wait for me to advance to the quasi-shadow. The meeting ended in depression, and Yizan returned to his tent alone. After a while, a slap-sized slug came out and jumped on Yizan's palm. Shaozan tilde. How about little slug, can we use a combination treatment? Chapter 177 _ attack. Yes, as long as you provide me with chakra, as long as there are no arms or legs, the rest can be cured. The slug's words made a smile appear on Yizan's face, and soon, the slug crouched on Yizan's shoulder. Yizan sat cross-legged, and sent all his chakras into the slug's body. The slug technique. With a soft drink, a dozen small slugs appeared in the temporary tent hospital in the distance and slowly climbed onto the wounded. The wounded and the medical ninjas knew that this was Lord Zan's psychic beast, although they didn't understand what it was doing, but let the slug crawl on the body. 10 minutes later, the wounded who were in unbearable pain felt that the wounds were not so painful. After another 20 minutes, a ninja who was not seriously injured actually propped himself up from the bunk. "Hey, what are you doing? You're still hurt." A medical ninja yelled loudly, and the next second, he stared wide, his eyes full of shock. He, my injury seems to be healed." The ninja took the initiative to remove the bandage on his abdomen. He was stabbed by the enemy before, but now, except for the scar on the surface, the wound has completely disappeared. Is it Lord Zan's psychic beast? Only then did everyone realize that the slug on the ninja's shoulder began to move and climbed onto the other ninja. At the same time, the other ninja's injuries were also healed. One by one, my chakra is not enough to support too many people's treatment. One by one, don't worry. The slug moved its tentacles, squinting its small eyes from time to time. She has a lot of chakra, but the skill of tongue-tooth sticky acid also consumes a lot of chakra, so it is necessary to save chakra to deal with 3 generations of raikage, and Yizan's ordinary Jonin's chakra volume can only support a dozen ninjas at the same time treat. After a day and a night of treatment, all the wounded except the 30 or so people who lacked arms and legs recovered their injuries. When Danzo heard the news, he was surprised to come to Yizan's tent, only to find that Yizan was sleeping on the bunk. When you feel it, smash your mouth from time to time, it looks extremely cute. Lord Danzo, Xiaozan is only asleep, don't wake him up. In order to extract chakra to treat the wounded, he has already exhausted his mental strength. Slug raised its tentacles and reminded Danzo to mute his voice. Danzo's hurried footsteps immediately stopped, and his movements were instantly gentle. Xiaozan's mental power is 4 times ours. In order to extract chakra, has he overdrawn his mental power? It's really hard work. Danzo gave Yizan a concerned look. Distressed and proud, he nodded to the slug, quietly exited the tent, and told everyone not to disturb Yizan. Hey! Seeing Danzo leave, Slug sighed softly. This was the first time Yizan had used EPUB, 9 tails, for so long to restore power, overdrawn his mental power, and the master reached the limit of chakra extraction. Chakra can be recovered indefinitely, but when his mental power is exhausted, it is useless. Because of his strong mental power, Yizan didn't notice it when he recovered chakra before. It was only today that he found out that he still has a limit. It's a big deal that the Konoha ninja's injuries recovered in just 1 day. These injuries are difficult to heal in other countries within a month or 2. For example, in the Kumogakure village a few kilometers away, hundreds of ninjas lie in makeshift sheds and whine. Not only the ordinary wounded, but because of the uncontrolled explosion of the complete body of the tailed beast, the Jinchuriki column force of the 2-tailed man is still in a coma, and the right hand of the 3rd-generation Raikage has been split by the wind attribute. His muscles, blood vessels and other tissues have been damaged by the spiral spurs, and it will take a week to recover with full treatment, but now, Konoha ninja's injuries are completely healed. Attack! We're going to launch an attack. In the camp, Danzo's voice was a bit loud, and Yizan's injury had touched his bottom line. For Kumogakure ninjas, especially the 3rd-generation Raikage, a strong murderous intention was brewing in his heart. I agree. We are weak. Kumogakure will not think that we will attack, at least these few days. They will not use too much energy to defend, attack at night. Night is the easiest. The same. I agree too. The recovery from the injury has boosted everyone's morale, and now the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force is out of combat, and the 3rd-generation Raikage is temporarily unable to use his right hand. We will do our best. even if the opponent counterattacks, we will not suffer any losses. Jiraiya said condensedly, without Yizan present. His attitude was more serious, and his thinking was much clearer than usual. Yes, if it's a sneak attack at night, my dance of the three suns and the moon can have the greatest effect. Jiraiya, let me take charge of Yaoi. The son of the third generation of Hokage, I also want to see and see. Moonlight Yefeng gently held his waist-long knife, his eyes flashed with a hint of war. Yuhyang, Chief Hyuga, Soji, what's your opinion? No comments. In this case, everyone should prepare immediately. At 2 o'clock in the morning, attack the Kumogakure station. Danzo planned an attack with all his strength when he fell asleep due to mental overdraft. The slug body didn't move, she stayed in the camp to protect Yizan, but divided a few palm-sized clones to lie on top of several elite masters, and she could still afford the treatment of just a few people. Maybe God bless Konoha. The night is very dark today. At 2 a.m., there are dark clouds, the night wind blows, and the dry and cold air has a hint of dampness. It is going to rain. The possibility of rain in winter is not high, especially heavy rain, which is rare in a winter, but today's situation is obviously a sign before the heavy rain. God is bless me. Sure enough, Shaozan who injured me, can't even the gods see it. Danzo thought this way. The aura on his body became stronger and stronger. With the Hyuga clan around, they circled 10 kilometers, quietly came to the place with the weakest defense, and crawled to hide. Rumbling. A dull thunder sounded, a flash of lightning flashed through the dark clouds, and everyone stared at Danzo, waiting for the final order. 1 second, 2 seconds. When the first raindrop fell on Danzo's shoulders, he stood up suddenly, and his body burst out with a violent murderous aura. Kill. Chapter 178-Battle in the Dark. Raids, in any era, in any country, in any world, are a rotten but very effective thing. Although Kumogakure sent people to guard around, but their hearts were not too guarded. First, they didn't think the weak Konoha dared to attack, because Konoha lost more than himself and had low morale. Second, so many people, what if I relax a little? Could it be that these 6,000 people are slack? I do not believe. In fact, the second reason is the factor that makes the ninjas relax. If it is a team of several people performing tasks outside, they cannot relax, but the super legion of 6,000 ninjas gathers, it is nothing to relax yourself. Everyone thought so, but no one dared to say it. They just relaxed their vigilance silently. In the end, except for the hundreds of strict ninjas, everyone relaxed. The camp of 6,000 people is very large, and it is completely impossible for hundreds of vigilant ninjas to spread out. And because of the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, Danzo bypassed the most heavily defended place and successfully completed the attack. Dark night, heavy rain, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it happened to be deep sleep. Various factors came together. When more than 2,000 Konoha ninjas rushed into the camp, half of the Kumogakure ninjas did not respond. Counterattack. Counterattack. The burning tent was lit up in the dark night. The third-generation Hokage was bandaged with his right hand and directed with his left hand. Seeing the two giant beasts, the Toad Wentai and the Nightmare Taper, appearing in the camp, the third-generation Hokage looked sharp, and terrifying thunder burst out from his body. Shimura Danzo. He roared and rushed towards the Nightmare Taper. He knew that Danzo must be near the Nightmare Taper. Keep up with Hokage-sama. You guys, go to the medical tent to protect the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Yaoi shouted and was about to catch up with his father, when suddenly, 3 white rays of light bloomed in the dark night. Yaoi's heart trembled, and the danger of death suddenly came from the fourth place of darkness. Dance of the Three Suns and Moons. Radiant Thunder Style Mode, on. Boom. Covered with futon wind style chakra knocked Yaoi flying, and the Radiant Thunder style armor was almost pierced. He controlled his body to rotate a few times in midair, and stood firmly on the ground with a solemn expression on his face. Konoha's Moonlight Clan inherited and improved Konoha's swordsmanship and created a stronger secret art. He questioned, but his tone was affirmative, and his eyes were fixed on the dark corner not far away. After a while, Yugong Yefeng silently walked out of the corner, holding a slender samurai sword in his hand. What a powerful swordsmanship! Your Raiden Thunder-style armor is also very powerful, but it's far worse than our Lord Zan. Moonlight Yefeng glanced at Yaoyi lightly, with a hint of ridicule in her eyes. At that moment, Yaoyi only felt the volcano erupting from her mind, and the elite Jonin's chakra stimulated the Raiden Thunder-style armor to the limit. Don't mention that kid to me. His face was hideous, his eyes were full of crazy killing intent, his feet slammed, and he rushed out like a flash of lightning. Recurrent storm. Dance of the Three Suns and Moons. And on the other side, Danzo, Hyuga Patriarch and Hyuga Zongji worked together to stop the 3 generations of Reikage. A bunch of rubbish still want to stop me. Even with one hand, I'll deal with you all the same. S-class ninjutsu with very high precision. Without a right hand, it is difficult for the 3rd generation Reikage to use the power of the book. He is not afraid. Black Thunder mode, on. Call out. With a light sound, the black thunder and lightning disappeared in the dark night. At that moment, Hyuga Zongji's complexion changed greatly, and all chakras burst out immediately. Revolving heaven. Boom. With a loud bang, the violently rotating blue semicircle shattered, Hyuga Zongji vomited blood and flew out, and was blocked by revolving heaven. The 3rd generation of Reikage's body froze and appeared in front of everyone. 8 trigrams. Breaking the mountain. Futon, wind style. Silk breath. Danzo and the Hyuga Patriarch shot at the same time, forcing the 3 generations of Reikage to dodge. Although he can resist these ninjutsu, he will consume a lot of chakra. At this moment, his right hand cannot be used, and the situation of the station being attacked is unknown. Chakra consumption. And just when the 3rd generation of Reikage escaped to ninjutsu, thousands of white hair suddenly poured out from the darkness, instantly surrounded and bound him. Why are you still stunned? Fight! Jiraiya shouted, binding the 3 generations of Reikage with the strength of the elite Jonin, and only he has the courage. He spit out a strong Kaiden fire style from his mouth and hit the back of the 3rd generation Reikage hard. Did it work? Jiraiya thinks like this. The next second, the black thunder blooms, shattering the sturdy white hair. Boom. Thunder left punching Jiraiya, terrifying power explodes. He vomited blood and flew upside down for hundreds of meters, smashing a large number of tents. Fortunately, at the last minute, he blocked it with his hair, or this punch would kill him in seconds. Fuck. Obviously unable to use his right hand, how is Reikage's strength getting stronger and stronger? Seeing that Hyuga Soji and Jiraiya were knocked out of combat by a single blow, the Hyuga Patriarch finally couldn't help but utter a foul language, but Danzo was not so nervous. Don't worry, he's just getting angry. Exploding. If you calm down, you'll find that his breath is unstable and he won't last long. But we can't last for 3.5 more. The Hyuga clan leader looked helpless. After observing with Byakugan, of course, he found that the 3rd generation of Reikage was wrong. But, just by the 2 of them, Danzo is better, he is a side dish in front of Reikage. Reikage broke out in battle, but the Kumogakure village was a bit miserable. Because of the recovery of the wounded, the Konoha ninjas were in high spirits, while the Kumogakure village was injured because of the 3rd Reikage, the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force coma, and the injuries appeared to be very bad. The downturn, especially this night attack, was like the straw that broke the camel's back and knocked down the Kumogakure ninjas' morale. We have to persevere. The longer we persevere, the greater the loss of Kumogakure village. Let's work together. Okay, this time, I'll go first. Chapter 179_Cry for Me. The front of the Land of the Wind. Late at night, a large number of Konoha ninjas patrolled around the camp. The medical shed, different colored medicine jars rattled, and Tsunade poured the medicine back from time to time, and the medicine in the jar changed the color from time to time. 3 generations of Reikage are fighting against Lord Danzo, Jiraiya and Hyuga Soji can't I'm treating them, oops. Moonlight Yefeng was hit by Yayui. Oh, I am going to waste my chakra. The palm-sized slug lay on Tsunade's shoulder and waved its tentacles. This was its special feature. Any clone could share it visually, transmit chakra and transmit information and intelligence. That idiot Jiraiya dares to bind Reikage with his hair. I really don't know how stupid people are to do such a thing. Next time I see him, punch him first. Tsunade shook the medicine bottle, and after mixing a dozen or so potions together, he breathed lightly. Chiyo's poison is getting more and more powerful. In order to defeat our Konoha, she actually distributed the poison she made to all the puppet masters in the puppet army. Fortunately, my medical skills are superb, otherwise we would be really hard to fight. Researching the antidote, the main task of Gang 05's hands was completed. She rubbed her temples tiredly and walked out of the medical shed slowly. I have written down the method of the antidote on paper. You all follow the steps to mass-produce it. I will go to rest first. Okay Tsunade-sama. Please have a good rest. Fighting during the day and developing antidote for everyone at night, you have worked hard. Several medical ninjas bowed respectfully to Tsunade. Tsunade said nothing, waved his hand, and returned to his tent exhausted. How is Xiaoshuan? Fortunately, it will take a few days to wake up from mental exhaustion. Miss him. The slug flicked its tentacles, the small eyes at the top with a hint of laughter. Tsunade gave Yuhi a pretty face, and stabbed the slug hard. It hurts. It hurts. Be an idiot. She turned over the Byakugan, pulled her fingers out of the soft body of the slug, and then lay relaxed on the bed, pulling the bed cover to cover herself in half. The bedding should be covered. I want you to take care of it. I don't care, it's Xiaoshuan who said it. He is worried that you will catch a cold, so let me supervise you and cover your bed when you sleep. Cut. Tsunade pouted, and obediently pulled up the bed and covered her body. The slug crawled aside from her shoulder, and yawned lazily. Why are you yawning? Tired, go to sleep. You obviously never sleep. Tsunade looked at the slug in disbelief, and found that the slug had changed more and more during this time. She felt that it was Yizan who had broken it. Slug, I found that since you signed a contract with Xiaoshuan, you have become bad and lazy. Oh, is it? The slug slapped its mouth lazily, and that look was a bit like Yizan. You even learned Xiaoshuan from yawning. Oh, is that so? She completely ignored Tsunade's words, and the small eyes on the tentacles matched, and she was really about to go to sleep. Hey, you are really going to sleep. The body is also sleeping. Well, Xiaoshuan said that girls have to take beauty sleep every day, otherwise they will grow old quickly. What the hell are you and Xiaoshuan talking about all day? Tsunade sighed weakly, completely drunk. She simply ignored it, pulled the glass to cover her head, and after a while, there was an even sound of deep sleep. Hataki Sakumo and Tsunade on the front of the Kingdom of the Wind. Although they are currently weak, with Hataki Sakumo's power, the balance of victory and defeat will eventually fall to Konoha. Depends on whether Sarutobi can defeat Onoki, but Iwagakure village ninjas are best at war, and Konoha should be at a big disadvantage. The best way is to destroy the supply of the land of the country, because the collapse of Kikyo Castle and the surrounding mountains has caused a detour. The large circle of Iwagakure ninja supplies is hard to keep up. On the Land of Thunder, Danzo retreated with the Legion. Fortunately, the slug split into several clones and climbed on the shoulders of several elites at the beginning. Hyuga Zongji and Jiraiya finally saved their lives. Moonlight Yefeng finally lost to Yayui. His strength is weaker than Jiraiya and others. Although he is stronger than other elite Jonin, he is still the worst among several top elites. He can hold back the future 4 generations of Reikage. It is based on the effect of the night. This night attack worked great. Konoha lost more than 100 people, Kumogakure lost more than 700, plus the first battle loss, knocking Kumogakur's number to 5,000 in one go. Not only that, but the most important thing in this attack is to destroy Kumogakur's morale, so that the opponent loses the belief of invincibility, and because of this attack, Konoha's morale has been improved again, from the initial, absolutely invincible, to now, maybe the war will be won. The ninja's attitude changed a lot, and more enthusiasm for war broke out. All of this, until 5 days later, Yizan woke up and got the news from the slug's mouth. So, I forgot one very important thing from the 503rd battle law. Yizan covered his head and shouted, as if he was about to die, and fell into the bed with a pop. Xiaozan, what makes you so sad? The slug waved its tentacles and jumped onto Yizan's face, leaving a string of moist marks on Yizan's face. Little slug, don't make me face. Yizan got up immediately, wiped his cheek with his sleeve, as if thinking of something again. He pouted in despair, lost all strength, and fell on the bunk again with a pop. Woo woo woo, before the war, I forgot to ask them to give me face. Yizan buried his head and cried, and kept slapping the quilt with his hands. The rogue look made the slug sigh and jumped directly to the back of Yizan's neck. The cold and moist feeling scared Yizan to shrink his neck fiercely. Quickly turned up. Little slug, what are you doing? Oh, so you're fake crying. I don't. Then you cry and show me tilde. Woohoo. There are still no tears. Humph. Chapter 180 _ phone. Xiaozan said, wife, I miss you so much tilde. Bah, shut him up, I'm busy. Tsunade's hands glowed green in the medical shed at Konoha Station on the frontier of the Land of the Winds. The daytime, the sand ninja attacked again, and Hatake Tsukumo's state exploded, stabbed Kazekage, and forced the sand ninja back. Every battle, sand ninja and Konoha will produce a large number of wounded. At this moment, Tsunade is concentrating on treating the wounded. Dozens of nearby ninjas have small slugs crawling on their shoulders, and the vaginal seal on her forehead has been undone. Xiaozan said, wife, I dreamed of you last night tilde. Oh, Xiaoshuan, you nasty bastard, don't distract me. Tsunade couldn't bear it any longer. He scattered sage art, grabbed the small slug on his shoulder, and threw the slug directly to an injured person in the distance. Losing Tsunade's conduction chakra, dozens of slugs around him suddenly stopped the treatment. Tsunade's face darkened, he walked a few steps away, and put the slugs on his shoulders again. Slug, stop spreading the word for Xiaoshuan, I'm treating Konoha colleagues, Dai Xiaoshuan. It doesn't give me any peace of mind. Konoha Station at the junction of the Kingdom of Soup and the Kingdom of the Moon, Yizan was crawling on the bunk board, resting his chin on his hands, and pointing his feet back. Little Tsunade said, oops, Xiaoshuan, you nasty bastard, don't distract me. Slug shook his tentacles playfully, jumping on Yizan's back. She won't let me pass the word. I am saving Konoha colleagues tilde. Cut. Yizan flipped through Byakugan and said nothing. He was still very satisfied with Slug, a money-free couple's mobile phone. Call her again at night, hee. Tell me when she's taking a shower. Yizan smirked, turned over and sat up. The slug didn't pay attention for a while, and fell on the bunk with a bep. You hurt me. Don't be funny. It really hurts, woo woo woo. The slug cried, and deliberately moved the protective liquid on his body to the corner of his eyes and dripped, as if he was crying, making Yizan full of black lines. If you don't cry, I will reward you with something tilde. What? Cabbage leaves tilde. Ooh. Yizan was so bored in the tent that he yawned, and the slug kept on fake crying. After an unknown amount of time, a chunin stood outside the tent and knocked on the wooden shelf on the outer edge of the tent. The crisp sound immediately attracted Zan's attention. Dong dong dong. What's the matter? Master Zan, Master Danzo is looking for you. Finally it's up. Yizan didn't expect such a boring scene in the war. Since the last attack, Kumogakur retreated a few kilometers, and today, half a month has passed, and there has been no movement. With the Hyuga family around, Konoha has a natural advantage in intelligence detection. The third generation of Reikage calmly heals his right hand, and the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force gradually wakes up. During this time, Konoha also went to sneak attacks, but Kumogakure has already entering a state of total ban. Konoha's more than 2,000 people are no match for Kumogakure's 5,000 people. At present, our situation is very embarrassing. We can't take the initiative to attack, but when the third generation of Reikage and the two-tails Jinchuriki column are strong, it is difficult to defend. What can you do? In the camp, Danzo's face was solemn. Everyone thought about this for a long time, but couldn't find a solution. Reikage is different from Kazekage. Kazekage is afraid of death, indecisive, and can often use tricks to trick him. But Reikage's temper is strong and irritable, with strong strength, extremely high defense, and extremely fast speed, and Kumogakure ninjas are good at ninjutsu. Should we use the secret weapon? Jiraiya glanced at Yizan and raised the question again. No, as I said before, the Kyubi Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column force is our last hope. Although the Kumogakure village has lost their invincible momentum, they are still strong, even if they see Kyubi Nine-Tails. Even with the power of Jinchuriki column, Uzumaki Mawako is young, and even with Uzumaki Ryayama's support, no one knows how well he will play. We can't take this risk. Yizan categorically rejected Jiraiya's suggestion. Not only that, he also flipped the Byakugan gently, put his arms around him, and raised his chin. In the attack half a month ago, someone was a waste. He was useless at all, and he was severely injured. Really? Stinky brat, who are you talking about? I didn't name my name. Whoever is angry is who. Yizan raised his eyebrows with a grin, making Jiraiya furious. He glared at Yizan fiercely, and finally snorted angrily, turning his head away in disgust. Stinky brat, this uncle doesn't care about you. Wrong, this handsome guy doesn't care about you, or else I would have told Dead Monkey about your peek at the women's bath hall. Ha, I haven't watched it recently. Really, do you want me to let Anbu testify? Bah, you yourself belong to Anbu. Officials protect each other, you can't testify. Yizan and Jiraiya quarreled, causing Danzo to cover his face helplessly. He eased his mind, took a deep breath, suddenly raised his hand, and knocked it hard. Boom. Oh, what are you beating me for? Jiraiya provoked first. Yizan covered his head aggrievedly, his big black eyes glistening with tears. Boom. Ah, Lord Danzo. This time, Jiraiya was even more aggrieved. He tightly clutched the yuhi bag on his head and stared at Danzo pitifully. It's obviously the stinky brat's fault. Blatantly disrupting the order of the meeting, both of you are at fault. From now on, I will knock anyone who provokes again. Danzo squeezed his fist, kaba, so scared that Yizan and Jiraiya shrank their necks at the same time. Then Yizan made a face at Jiraiya gloating. He found that the yuhi bag on Jiraiya's head was several times bigger than himself. Humph. Eccentric. Jiraiya murmured softly, and after seeing Danzo's gaze, she shrank her neck again, until Danzo looked away, then quietly looked at Yizan and grinned at Kiba. Stinky brat, one day I will teach you a lesson. Come, I'm waiting for you Tilda. The two grimaced quietly. Although Danzo saw it, he didn't continue talking. He coughed a few times, and after attracting everyone's attention, his face became solemn again. The meeting continues.